It might ring a bell when you remember the rucksack.
Yeah, actually, that was the time when I was commentating with Fishy, and Fishy himself didn't see this Rook E8, and he was like, okay, this could easily be the move of the day, Rook E8.
Oh, yeah. But when I first saw it, I had to spend like a minute trying to understand where is the checkmate, it's coming, I think, from the side with the queen, yeah?
Right, yeah, very resourceful and very tactical as well. Okay, so now, move prediction.
Oh, yeah.
After c4, okay, Carlsen is taking his time, so let's okay, knight f6 is quite likely.
Yes.
Very, very likely, knight f6, but could be anything, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, c4 in Prague's games featured a lot in his match with Hikaru, right? That's where we saw most of his games in this tournament with c4. And Hikaru played, I mean, e5 lines, right? So what Magnus could do, I mean, I'm sure he's seen those games, but it's actually pretty hard to predict.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he can do pretty much anything, yeah, even c6 in this position too. So, but knight f6 gives more flexibility in order to choose which line that he wants to play later on. So, yeah, I think, do we have the similar prediction for this first move of Carlsen?
Do you think knight f6?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He will take his time. He will take his time in choosing.
I won't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, knight f6, I mean, basically Carlsen, one of the things that is like quite predictable in his repertoire, at least that he always likes to go to, is the Nimzo, right?
Oh.
We see a pawn move on the board, so he went
E5.
for E5.
Okay.
Yeah.
E5 it is. So we will see a reverse Sicilian maybe.
Knight c3. And probably knight f6.
Knight f6, yes, or c6, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, knight f6, on g3, then you can also try c6, or, you could try. C6 right away is not as common, though, against knight c3. Right, so he's going to go
knight f6.
Knight f6, yeah. By the way, Nijat Abasov has a Catalan against Fabiano Caruana.
That's a Catalan that Fabi tried against Praggnanandhaa as well.
That's right. So Nijat just kind of, but it goes a little bit differently, right? Where is the difference?
Okay, the difference is that after, okay, go on. A4, bishop here takes, and then in this position, I think Prague played bishop f4.
F4, yeah, I do remember there being a bishop
and
there.
And then bishop d5 and so on, yes. But now bishop g5, okay, a little difference there.
Knight d7, knight c3. Okay, so what can we say here? White's got a space advantage. White, well, actually, I can see white perhaps wanting to put a pawn on a5 to restrict that knight even further than he is restricted. Probably, and black, of course, needs to trade pieces in this position, yeah, because he's quite cramped.
Right. Yeah, so h6 is, I think, the normal move here, and I think it's widely played as well, or bishop d6. Oh, h6 already played, actually.
Oh, it's on the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
h6, bishop f4, and then, yeah, in this position, bishop d6 is the most popular move, followed by knight b6.
Knight b6. Yeah, I can see the point of bishop d6, right? I think you just want to go queen e7 and try to maybe play e5.
Yeah, actually, there is one interesting fact about Fabiano Caruana, because prior to his loss yesterday in the tiebreak against Praggnanandhaa, he was undefeated for 17 games in his participation in this World Cup.
Yeah.
17 games undefeated.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even Magnus went through one loss, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was quite a long streak of Fabiano without.
Oh, and Prague lost all his losses came in the match against
Arjun. There's a loss against Arjun too. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So he was really I think, very much in form, Fabi, in this tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, basically, he lost this match because he missed the idea of
F4
and C3.
Yeah. With different C3.
Yeah, against in their. Oh, you're talking about that.
Oh, the tiebreak.
Yeah, I'm talking about you're talking about the game that he didn't win, and I'm thinking more about the game that he actually did lose.
Ah, okay.
When he lost because he allowed the C3 D4 idea.
Yeah, I think that game cost him a lot mentally also, because I'm sure he soon realized after the game, after he drew that game, that this is the game where you should have just won easily. But instead, he made a draw, and maybe it has some psychological impact on his next round. So, it's hard to come back from such a miss.
We also saw that Salimova did not come back.
Yes.
From that either. So basically, they both let out like winning positions in their first rapid game, and they both went on to lose the match. So I guess that it's a kind of a lesson, that you got to take your opportunities when they come.
Yeah.
So bishop d6 is on the board by Fabi.
Yep. Still following the main line.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what is Abasov going to come up with here. I mean, bishop takes d6 seems a little boring, and he doesn't do
Queen
it.
d3.
Here we go. Queen d3, not played.
In the top level game, yeah?
Yeah, not played very much. So he went queen d3. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, okay, he's not worried about the trade because he doesn't mind that structure, which in general looks quite nice for white. Yeah, I mean, you get those double pawns, but you get great control over e5. So the idea of queen e3, though, is the idea to support actually e4. That's one, I think, point. I mean, the idea is also you're stepping away from knight b6 tempos. But I guess if I were white, I don't know. I mean, like if you go e4, then your pawn's a little extended, right? Because normally that pawn wants to be on e3 in case of a trade. So it does look kind of weird on e4, right? Because it can come under attack actually pretty easily, right? So I don't know if e4 is the main idea. That's like sort of the aggressive idea, but maybe it's really just prophylactic stepping away from knight b6.
Could be both, yeah. Here, maybe... Yeah, actually the idea of bishop takes f4, g4, it's also the main choice by computer. And then you can try to offer more trades by playing knight d5.
Yeah, okay. Well, I got to tell you, like, from a human point of view, this is not, like, the easiest move to make, right? Bishop takes f4. G takes, okay, you want to trade more, so that's when I use my pawn. I mean, I guess looking at this position, I would be quite okay playing with white, though I guess you will trade this, right? Will you just give me all the space on the board with knight c3, bc? So let's say knight takes, pawn takes. Now, the thing is, like, every time this knight moves, we get more trades.
Yeah. But also, this now, e4 is a bit irrelevant because what are you trying to attack on the center? Because there are also almost nobody is in the center after all these tradings.
Can I try this move?
g5.
Are you going to let me play such a crazy move?
Oh, what is this? What if I just play f4, f5?
Yeah. f5 or... Okay, f5. Maybe queen f6. But I mean, I agree that, there wasn't probably much of a point, although there is a tactic here in this particular position.
95, yeah.
A little trick that allows me to trade some pieces and be okay. Yeah, because actually I have one pin, and then I'm going to get like a second pin.
Right.
After queen f6. So, okay, g5 was my attempt to kind of get rid of this pawn, but I guess it's not, objectively like correct. Yeah, white has the center, so your space on the king side doesn't really matter all that much.
I wouldn't have thought of playing g5 at all.
You wouldn't even look at it, right?
I wouldn't even look at it.
I don't know. Yeah, I would. No, I would definitely I look at it, because I don't know. I find like playing against these strong pawns a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I might actually look for some move like b5, for example. Yeah, because if you take, I'll just take it with the pawn, put the knight on b6, and then to c4 maybe. Just try to get some space like that.
Yeah, b5. Yeah, you just go bishop d5 and
that's also can be an idea. And if you actually take my rook on a8, I can take it with the queen, and it is also pressure on the f3 knight. So
I agree. Seeing this move, it looks a lot more normal, but also effective.
But it's symmetrically, b5 and g5. It's just symmetrical.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to Magnus's game. We have a few moves, and they're in this reverse dragon. And now the move for Magnus, and this popular, is like bishop c5, right? It's kind of like the more recent move that's become popular, but he's gone
Knight f6.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That I really have like not seen any games in. Compared to the other alternatives of knight b6 and bishop c5, like, wow, I barely see any games at the top level.
Actually, Magnus has played it in 2020 against Singduran.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, that's right. No, I see it now. Barely any games, but those games have been by Magnus, a lot of them. Yeah,
and against Nepomniachtchi as well.
Yep, and he's been on the white side of this, I see, against Van Foreest. There's also been a game, Xiong Nakamura. Okay, so Naka has tried this. Yeah, but again, somehow I've missed that, compared to the massive games that's in this move and
Bishop c5.
Bishop c5. Like, this one is really relatively rare. But, okay, first of all, do you want to comment on Carlsen's hair today? Because I know you like to make those observations. What do you think about it?
I think he's getting exhausted and he has no time to do his hair.
I think he was just figuring out what to play against the English that took up all his time.
Yeah.
I feel like that often, too. Like, I just never, get time to do my hair before the game because it's like, I barely have time to take a shower and get myself out the door to make it on time.
Right.
So I get a lot of comments about the hair, but yeah, definitely there's a time crunch, between the preparation and eating and shower. So the hair sort of goes on the back burner.
Yeah. So, well, I think you're right. It shouldn't be your priority among other top things. So, well, I don't know. Usually when Carlsen does his hair, he would look more focused. But we could already see from this game, like after a few moves, he has gotten up his chair a couple of times. So maybe he was like, okay, just taking it easy for today's round because he's playing with the black pieces as long as he managed not to lose the game. And also, Prague must be
There's
very
a pawn
exhausted.
going forward. Which pawn went forward? Did he actually play d4?
A4. Oh, B4.
b4.
What the preparation?
Okay.
Well, this is quite thematic as well, right? Because if you take this pawn, there's always kind of like a little sacrifice on e5, but you'll get the piece back. So b4
That's
is
how
on the board.
game Nepomniachtchi Carlsen went from 2020 that you mentioned. So b4, and the point here is that, okay, normally the idea is this famous idea that if bishop takes b4, there's going to be knight takes e5. So let's make sure that works for white. I think it does. Knight takes e5, and the point is that if knight takes, queen a4 check is winning back the piece. You gave up a b pawn in order to win an e pawn. It's a good trade. And you can't save this bishop because on that move, this bishop would capture the knight, and then you would capture that bishop. So that's the idea. Yeah, b4 is very common in a lot of these English openings. Obviously, you don't want to take it with the knight because, again, you lose that pawn, and the center pawn is more valuable.
Yep. And on his game against Nepomniachtchi, Carlsen played a6.
He played a6, yeah,
Yep.
very understandable. But it seems like the move e4 is actually possible here. I see the engine is offering that move, which is a little bit of a mystery to me because ultimately it's like a trade of the e pawn for the b pawn. So I don't know if Carlsen is going to want to do that. So let's take a look at what is the point here. So here,
a6,
bishop takes b4, knight takes, knight takes, knight takes. I mean, just purely visually, like, obviously this position looks better for white.
Yep.
Right? Even though the computer doesn't seem to agree, but if you just look at it and you're like, well, center pawns versus queenside pawns.
Yeah, and this bishop on c1 will go to b2, and it's already hitting on the king side. And what did he do? Bishop d6.
Or d6, yeah. So that's different from what he did last time. And apparently there's no games with this move, right? So bishop d6 is something new. I think, he must be familiar with this, right? Because he didn't take that long on that move.
Yep. So, well, I think he must have done his work as well because he had played a couple of games on this variation, and now I think Praggnanandhaa is just trying to recall what he's already prepared. By the way, about preparation, I saw Praggnanandhaa second in the lobby waiting for Prague to come downstairs and probably have like last words before the game. And
Who's the second?
Shyam Sundar.
Okay.
Another Indian grandmaster. Yeah, it's actually very common for many of their seconds. Many of the participants bring their seconds here, and I noticed since the very first day as well, they would sometimes wait outside the door of the playing hall before everyone comes in. Just maybe to have some last word or maybe some encouragement.
Yeah.
And all the best wishes before the game. So yeah, it's actually nice to have someone like that to accompany you throughout the tournament.
It looks like Carlsen is here on his own in this tournament, right?
I think so. I think he's been receiving help remotely.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think anyone is here. Well, he had his friends in the earlier rounds. He had Arya, Arya and Tari and he also had David Howell.
Oh, yeah. David was here, right?
Yeah, and also Jordan. Jordan was also here.
Oh, wow, and now he's been like left alone.
Left alone, yeah.
Yeah.
Same with me. I have all my friends here, but one of them, one by one.
Yeah, everyone is gone.
Everyone is
funny.
leaving. So
I know. It does get a little lonely, but I'm actually feeling like more happy as the tournament goes on, as we get to the later stages. I just kind of like into this routine, and I'm excited about the event and just like what we see every day. So for me, even though it's like, it's gotten, quite isolated in a way. But yeah, pretty happy.
Yeah. Well, you know who else is happy? It's Pragg's mother. Yeah. So last night was quite a highlight of his mother. And she should be proud, Mrs. Nagalaxmi. By the way, in Indonesian, Naga means dragon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And we have a dragon on the board today.
Well, it looks like
That's it. It's a dragon.
The reverse dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so after bishop d6, b5 was played by Pragg, and now knight d4.
Yeah, so I don't think you're going to want to capture that knight, because like the black pawn on d4 looks pretty good. In general, I guess what is white playing for in this position? I guess the pressure on b7, right? Because it's going to be hard for black to play c6, kind of neutralize this bishop. That seems to be the main issue here. So kind of an obvious move for white after b5, knight d4 is castles. Right?
Castles, queen a4, yeah?
Yeah. So after you castle, let's say, what is black's concept here? Okay, he plays queen a4, which I think is one of the engine's top moves. So he just basically wants to clarify the situation with this knight, which is hanging now. So I guess Carlsen is going to be exchanging on f3, and after that he's going to be castling.
Yeah, I think castling is very logical to play. Yes, and maybe you can throw in bishop h3 and then just normal development.
Well, the problem with the normal development is always this pawn, right? I think that's really the whole
the whole idea. Yeah.
Of driving in this pawn to b5, just to prevent c6 from being so easy, So one of the things, that comes to my mind is definitely this move, because it's an attempt to basically get the rook out without having to move the bishop. Of course, I'm not threatening this yet, but...
you just want to free yourself.
Yeah, at some point. At some point I could be. Like, let's say, what do you do? Like
d3,
right. So now, do I have bishop here? I feel like...
You also can play bishop d7. I like this move.
Bishop d7.
But okay, bishop d7.
But then I take,
you just take that.
I take, and then I take with the queen.
Yep.
Yeah. So, how do we get ourselves unpinned here? Well, let's try this move, right? I mean, it just doesn't cost us anything to try. So then you take. That's the key. And the problem is if I take, you take, Oh, actually, there's no recapture of the bishop.
Because there's queen h1 checkmate. Well, let's show it. Let's show it.
Yeah, that's kind of a
It
cool
would be
checkmate.
funny.
We don't see that one too much.
Yeah.
So hold on. After bishop f1, then we can't take an a8.
So I think you just have to take the bishop, and then you
It's
have
an exchange sack. It's an
yeah,
exchange
but
sack.
but you have 2 extra pawns to compensate it. Yeah, because you cannot take on b5 right now, and the next move you'll just take on a6.
Yeah, you're going to play b takes a6 and get like a super strong passed pawn, right?
And a pair of bishop. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and basically this position, we go in for that, and white has an extra pawn in this endgame, and just technically winning, yeah? So, okay, so bishop h3 doesn't work, so how are we going to get this, this queen side developed? Rook a7, that has been a move we've seen. It's the ugliest. No, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna be putting our pieces like that, and plus it has no idea. Yeah, okay. Maybe the knight? Maybe the knight can try to move somewhere? How about here? How about this idea? This actually looks like it makes some sense. I mean, maybe it's not good, but like at least there's a point to it, right? I mean, I know you have knight d5. Maybe you'll try that. But let's try this move.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. This looks okay.
And I want to go knight b6, and then I'll be free to move my b pawn, my a pawn. So here I would look at 2 moves for white. I would look at that, and I would look at that. And both of them try to control that square.
I think if you play bishop e3, I can just play knight
b6.
or knight c5.
Knight c5.
But knight c5, yeah, knight c5 is good.
Yeah. That's true. Then I basically have to get off these squares, right? I have to like go back.
Okay, now you can choose not to take or not to take on b5.
There's a very interesting move like this. Because I can try to put another knight on d4. Look at that, the knight from f6. How did he even make that journey? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not easy, yeah, to move a knight over one square.
You can also put from g8.
Yeah.
g8 to f6.
But this actually looks reasonable. Yeah, I feel like at least we have a clear plan. So knight d7 didn't work out so badly as our attempts to neutralize this queenside pressure. So if you go knight to d5, I guess you're going to do the same thing, aren't you? I mean, just knight c5. Yeah, and then we even have like more of a problem with this pawn.
Right, yes.
Yeah, you might just lose the pawn. So, yeah, I can see the game going in this direction, but Carlsen, he's still thinking after queen a4. Like, he hasn't even been convinced that he needs to make that trade yet on f3. So let's see what else he's considering.
Well, that knight is currently under attack, right? White wants to take it immediately. Yeah, or maybe moving the knight back.
There's moving the knight back. There's a move that I kind of feel very doubtful about, just strategically. But I mean, let's just show people like why this is not good. I think it's not great because it's not like completely ridiculous. But the point is, you just take and then you bring the knight back, and I think strategically white is better because they've got the center pawn versus the queenside pawns, and it's just a nice structure.
I think you can even throw in now knight b5. We can continue.
You'd want to go immediately after this bishop, yeah, maybe even get your bishop here, stop him from castling, so that doesn't work. So what else can Magnus do? He's still thinking. So he can move this knight somewhere. How about knight there?
Knight a6, okay, knight a6, yeah,
this actually seems quite possible as well.
Yeah, you want to put it on c5.
Yeah, you want to put it on c5, yeah. So knight takes f3 is by no means the only move for black.
Yep, so black has a few options here.
I mean, here he kind of keeps the knight blocking the bishop for now.
Right. Okay, so still, I'm just curious, whenever there is this stage happening on the board, it's like this transition between from the opening to the middle game. I just want to know, like, until which point does the preparation of these players stop? You know?
Yeah. We got to get them in the studio to ask these questions.
Right.
All right, so knight e6. Let's carry on with a few more moves, right? So you want to go knight c5. I mean, this is not too big of an idea. I'll have like knight d4. All right, let's just castle. Castle or knight c5?
I like castle. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now, I mean, bishop b2 is my most obvious.
d3 as well.
d3. And there's some kind of a d4 move. But if you go e4, I guess I'm going to go knight e5. Pretty good. I have to calculate pawn takes, knight takes, bishop g3, knight e6. Seems to work. I mean, it seems like I can also do this move. But I would, okay, let's just go, I don't know, let's go bishop b2. Let's keep it simple.
Okay, let's play knight c5.
So knight c5, queen c2, right? Pretty much forced. But then, yeah, then I have these ideas of here, and white could be like strategically better, right? So maybe in this position, this move a6 is important. A6, and actually, you know, when he keeps the knight here, then you have bishop d7. You know, it's actually easier to play bishop d7 in this position.
Right, yeah, just normal development. Yeah, well, good news for Magnus is he has a few strategies or plans to carry out on this position. So I think that is why he's currently thinking right now.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say good news for Magnus is that he's got a lot more hair than Pragg.
Well, I think his hair is just longer. I'm just wondering if Pragg has longer hair. Like, what would it be like? Would it be like what Magnus has, or
a different style?
All different style. Yeah. Gukash is similar. Yeah, Gukash has similar style to Magnus.
All right. Yeah, it's funny because I know Magnus's hair gets a lot of attention, especially like in the recent years.
Yes.
You know, I kind of sympathize with that because, you know, I'm a little bit like that too. You know, I don't really pay a lot of attention to these things. You know, kind of don't mind the messy hair. So yeah, let's take a look at what's going on in Nijat versus Fabi. After queen d3, Fabi actually traded on f4, and then he went for a5. So I guess there's not going to be any b5 ideas in this line, because what did we look at? We looked at this. Remember that? We looked at knight d5 here. e3, and then there was a trade, and then we were actually looking at b5.
Right.
In this position. So he goes a5. Okay. King h1. Okay, he's going for this setup. Very solid. Yeah, bishop takes and c6. Yeah, it's a little bit passive, I would say. Solid but passive, yeah. Rook g1 and king h8.
Yep. Well, this king h8 is rather thematic by Fabiano, of course, because sooner or later you might have to move your king to the side. And let's try to figure out, like, what is the plan for black here?
Yeah, well, the plan for black is not to get mated on the g-file, I think, right? I mean, well, what plan can you have when you got no breaks anywhere? No breaks. Like, look, not a single one. You know? So I don't know. No, I mean, I know this is very thematic, taking and playing c6, like it's supposed to be solid, but it also feels like you lose, for black, some of the dynamic possibilities by playing like that. Maybe it's not such a big deal. So what can white do? White can obviously try to keep doubling, right? Rook g3. Black probably intends to put the rook on g8. In terms of this break, that's not dangerous because of e5. as one of the answers for black, I think. Reasonable. Normally you always think of the pawn having to be here, right? But I see there's a suggestion of like having the pawn there, which kind of makes sense now that you've traded the bishop and black doesn't have knight h5. Now you could try to go, e5 and f5. That's an aggressive plan. I mean, that's probably the most aggressive option for Najat. So now we might have to make a move like this, because you're about to attack me anyway, and at least if you attack me, I go there and I stop you from going f5, right? So maybe the knight needs to be rerouted. Oh, but what did Najat do? He went for e4.
Immediately.
Yeah, look at that. The most aggressive move. Well, I mean, I kind of like that, right? By the way, he has a lot more time than Fabi, although I don't think it really matters at move 18 where they are at, as Fabi has plenty of time. But Najat is, I guess, more in his preparation.
Right, yes. So, well, Najat is still gaining his time. So, starting time is 1 hour and 30, and now he's still on it. And Fabi has spent roughly about 13 minutes. But yeah, he's still in the opening stage, and it's normal for white players to have their own preparation on the board because white decides the line, the opening. But yeah, so what do we do about this e4? I just want to say, I don't like this position for black too much. Just in general, it feels like, okay, the outline is that white has the initiative. Okay, we can try this. And, my first thought was, can I go e5 and, like, bishop e4, like, after you play? But you might have, like, some sort of an f5. Maybe that's your point. Like, when you go here and I go here, because there's no real point putting the knight there, I guess, although it's interesting. I wouldn't say there's no point. Like, even that is an interesting idea. Knight f5?
Yeah, knight f5, and I have bishop g4, I think. And I try to get rid of your knight to occupy d6. Yeah. And then once I get the outpost, I'm extremely happy. So, but maybe the idea, like if bishop e4, I don't think it's as good of a move because, you're leaving the knight useless, but it's f5. Now this I can see as being okay for black, because he's kind of pushing us back. And if we take, like our pawns are just way too weak. You can take with the rook, you can just take with the knight, everything sort of works. So we have to be a little careful. But knight e4, you might not need to do anything because, well, you're still going to have knight c8 ideas to get rid of my knight. Let's take a look, though, because it does look kind of promising for white, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or should you go knight d5, attack my pawn?
Yeah, I would say just use one of the outposts, d5 or f5.
Oh, I feel like we're going to be attacking here. I really do. I mean, I feel like I'm going to give you that pawn. I'm going to play knight d6. Let you take on f4. Maybe play queen d2 or queen e3. Right? I mean, okay, I'm just going for it. So knight d5. Okay, apparently I had some better moves here, but I promised you I was going to play this move. So I'm going here. I'm giving you that pawn, and then let's say we go here. You don't have that because of rook g4.
So then that has to move?
Yeah. If you go there, I don't know, I just keep coming in.
So knight d5?
Yeah. Okay, knight d5.
Well, maybe you can already take on g7.
Oh, yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. That's the point here.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you have bishop e4, yeah?
Yeah. Well, you have to play g5, but, I'm just saying to illustrate white's ideas. In this position, this was not a bad, line. Because, yes, you can still survive like that. You got to keep your knight here. And, it's interesting. And then I guess your knight can go back. It's a lot safer, actually, with the pawn on g5.
Right, yeah.
So maybe I don't have to do it like this. But, so the point of playing f5 is that when you take, I guess then I just go knight d6, and then I get that pawn back more easily, yeah? Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, once the knight is on d6, it's just looking very good for white.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that this line is pretty beautiful, so we're going to have to show it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Even the move like queen h3 will do as well.
Let's go back move. Queen h3, because this is hard to defend, yeah?
Yeah,
And then you might sack an f5.
You always have the sack on f5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, this is lost.
Yeah, yeah. So, hold on. So what are we trying to say here? We're saying that we like Abasov's position. We like e4. E4 is an aggressive move. I actually feel like this is exactly what he needs to do against Fabi. He just needs to create some problems immediately.
Okay, so but it doesn't really make sense to play knight g8 right now.
Yeah.
If you're going to play knight e7 and knight d5, you can just wait until white plays e5.
But then I'm going to play f5 immediately.
Yeah, so let's try to figure out how to deal with that.
G6 is extremely ugly.
No, if you have f5, I have knight e5, so you have to be careful.
Ah, okay.
So f5 is not an immediate threat right now.
Okay. Yeah, good point. So you're saying like when my pawns get here, my queen is unprotected, so you have that move because there's a pin. Okay. But what to do? You can't even like move your queen anywhere, right? Because then you lose that idea. Well, let's just show the line. Like, I don't know, like queen c7, like why it's bad. And yeah, and then you just push through f5, and white has tons of initiative. So let me try
rook
something
g8.
else.
Rook g8.
Rook g8. But then your knight can't go there, so I wonder
Yeah,
where your
it's
knight
okay.
goes. h7?
It's okay.
D5?
I'll go d5.
Okay. Let's think a little bit. Rook g8. I go here. You go here. Yeah? Kind of salivating over white's position there, you know, because I can play like knight takes, c takes, f5. I mean, you're going to rely on queen h4 somewhere? No, I think that's just it's overwhelming, you know, when my pawn starts coming in. Okay, but let's try it. So I went for this, and you go for that, and then we take, okay, like that,
Yep,
and
c
like
takes.
that, and like that. The problem is, once I realized that you couldn't even put your queen there, you know, maybe you can, maybe there's f2, but, you know, eventually I'll play rook g4 somewhere. I think the space is terrifying.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you know what I really don't like in chess?
What?
Giving up space. You know, that's why when I see this position for white, I'm on white's side. You know what I mean? And I have to say, remember, like when we were looking at this stuff, this position. First of all, I wasn't so sure, like, okay, about this trade, but all right, this I can sort of understand. But I really kind of liked this knight d5 move. This concept of like trade pieces when you have less space, right? And then immediately, like after you trade more, right, then when you said b5, it was like, okay, yeah, I get that, because that's counterplay. You see? White is not having this luxury, right, of like the play on the g file here, you know, because they have to be, you know, somewhat concerned, I think, about what's going on the queen side.
Right.
Unless there's no tactic, by the way. We should try to knight g5, yeah? But we didn't check that one.
Yeah, knight g5, I think you just have to take it.
Take it, and after bishop c6, what? Take an f4, sack the exchange? I don't know. Actually, we should have checked that one, right? That's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big one, because it could be bad. It could be bad for black, but this, we just don't have enough compensation at all. Like, I mean, because unfortunately you're taking
everything. You can play.
What's interesting is that maybe not everything, because if you take like that, maybe I can play queen f3 and like actually get a draw.
Queen d1.
Queen d1. I have to move. Then I have some ideas like that. It's very sharp, but yeah, like maybe that's why we're taking this way. But maybe we should not be giving you the rook, right? So we go rook here. This is still protected. That's important. So if you take, I just take back.
Also, there is knight e5 I can throw in.
And I'm threatening here, and okay. You don't really have time to win the pawn like this, because f4 is too big of a problem, and this pawn structure is not acceptable for white, even though white's up a pawn. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's what I would have liked more for Fabi. So this decision of like a5, it's definitely standard. Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of Catalan games like that. But it also feels like giving up the bishop like that and then just going in for this like solid but not very dynamic structure is kind of a concession. And Fabi just played queen e7.
Queen e7, yeah. It's the type of waiting move that I was also thinking before, because putting the queen on c7 is a bit, I would say, counterintuitive, because you still have to play around the king side. So queen e7, waiting for you to take action with e5 or f5. But now we lost the idea of knight e5, yeah?
Yeah.
And now what's going on after f5?
You mean e5? Right? Or you want to play f5?
I want to play f5, and after you take, I'll just play e5.
But I was going to play this. Then I start fighting you for these dark squares, right?
Right. So e5, then f5.
Probably e5, yeah. Let's go with that. Well, we can check that, but yeah.
You just play e5, right?
In general, we have that answer. So, okay, you're going to go e5. And now, where is this knight going? I mean, here for Abasov, it's not exactly a difficult moment, is it? Like, he's going to play e5 pretty fast. It's his whole idea. And then we're going to have to see which way Fabi is going out of those three squares. Or, I don't know, there's four. Knight e8 is like, knight e8, knight g8, I don't really get any of them. But, okay, let's look at knight d5.
Yeah, knight d5 looks more natural.
Yes, and I think his idea, could it be, like, let's say if we trade f5, like again, f6, trying to undermine. Maybe that's not so terrible. Well, we can try it. So let's go knight d5. Wait, we don't have any rook takes g7 just yet.
No. Yeah, the queen is not aiming to h6. Yep, so you were saying knight takes d5, cd5, and then f5, yeah?
f5, and then I was thinking maybe only f6 could be a problem. Because if you don't play f6, I'm generally quite happy. So what do we do about that move?
Is rook g8 the move? Just try to prepare it.
It's a move. Rook g8 is a move. But f6, let's come up with an answer. Because it could be that, but it could be, I mean, theoretically it could be pawn takes pawn, queen takes, maybe queen g6. That kind of looks like something.
Yeah, it looks scary.
So let's try it. f6. Yeah, f takes, queen takes, and queen g6. At first I was thinking bishop g4 to actually provoke you into this, and then go here and just use that square.
With g5, yeah?
Which is actually pretty good too. Yeah, g5, okay. I'm going to start undermining you with f4, h3, I think. Right? I don't know. g5 is interesting, but I go here, and g4 I'm definitely kind of coming with h3. And so you play rook g8.
Yeah, rook g8.
You can play rook g8, and then can I just take and go? No, where can I go? Queen h3. I feel like I have to use that idea. Oh, maybe right away. Maybe I can even take, and if you take, maybe queen h3, and because I just noticed that after queen h6, well, I thought I was going to take an f5, queen h5, queen d7. You have a check. I block. I'm up a pawn. I thought that was pretty decent. This was my plan. And it's not bad. Like, we are better here, but it wasn't. It was not the very best option, which apparently is this rook A3. Wow.
Yeah.
Right? Like from the side.
Yeah.
That's dramatic. Now, what's the idea of that? Is that you want to take the pawn and just go rook H3?
Yep.
And the idea is also that on G4, I have bishop takes G4.
And also, if you're trying to protect F5, let's say you play rook A F8, looks very natural. You have bishop F7.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you take with check, and then you win.
Or even
rook.
bishop E8. Does it work?
I think it works.
Yeah, bishop E8 and just get the knight. Yeah.
Yeah, like let's show people this beautiful discovery. It's so nice. Yeah, discovery, and the check, and the rook comes into the game with enormous power. Okay, that was a cool line. Okay, so let's go back a bit.
A lot, actually.
A little bit, yeah, a couple of moves. Well, is Abasov still thinking? So he hasn't actually pushed in his pawn yet, but I really would, I would bet a large amount of money this move is going to happen.
How much would you bet?
Oh, how much would I bet?
100,000?
Yeah, 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, that's
okay.
my favorite kind of bet when I'm really confident. But I mean, the only problem, here's the only problem, is that he might be tempted by some second-rate move like that. Like there is another, possibility here, right? He could prefer to just like double up.
Which is also good.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, that makes me a little less confident, but I really feel like I would just want to play this move so much that that's what I would do. Like, I wouldn't waste my time with like rook G3 when this is my main idea. So, okay. No, I'll keep my $100,000 bet on that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yep. And let's update ourselves on the game between Praggnanandhaa versus Magnus Carlsen.
Yes. Okay. So that one has not had too many fireworks yet. So we had Queen A4, and Magnus, after a think, decided to trade the knights. It's the most natural. And then he castled, played A6, just like we thought about. Oh, D3. Wait, is this... Oh, no, sorry. No, that's our analysis. He just played A6, right. No, we don't have a move yet by Prague. Actually, he just played something. So what did he do?
D3.
Oh, he did play D3.
Yeah, so we predicted the whole
we
thing.
predicted that. And then what did Magnus do? Because he played something kind of instantly.
H6.
H6, yeah.
Yeah, just solving this bishop G5.
Very good, yeah. We spent some time on this position. We figured out why, bishop H3 wasn't good. And basically, we came up in the end with this move knight D7, which we thought was interesting. But Magnus just goes for H6. So he stops bishop G5. So what's his long-term plan of getting out of this pin? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, interesting. I think it would be depending on White's move first, but some bishop moves.
You know what it might be? So like if you put the queen here to get ready to connect the rooks, right? Because obviously that's actually why he didn't do that, right? He couldn't go there because bishop G5, and then there's a problem. So that's what his move H6 is about. In general, bishop G5 was already a threat, so Magnus has played a very sensible move. So you want to go queen E7, and then you want to go bishop D7. So then when I take this, I mean, maybe he's planning to sack the two rooks for the queen. And he thinks that is like a good position for him. Let's just try. I'm curious to try it. Like, let's say...
Yeah, let's do queen E7.
let's say we just do nothing for white. I just want to play a couple of moves like this. Right? Just get into this position, like somehow like that. So this... I'm sorry, no, not like that. Like bishop takes G2, B7 here. So you actually can take these rooks. But I think the bishop gets trapped.
Yeah, C6, yeah.
That's the point. So it's not just, you have these two rooks that aren't doing much, but also this bishop might not be getting out. So I think that's his point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Queen E7, I like this move. And getting rid of bishop D7.
Yeah, so Basically, he's going to connect the rooks on the 8th and go bishop d7. Yeah.
Okay, so queen e7 might be Carlsen's follow-up idea.
It's got some coffee.
Or tea. You never know.
Oh, I bet it's coffee. Usually people don't like drink tea out of that kind of cup. You know, so I'm thinking in combination with his hairstyle, it's like it must be coffee.
Ah, I see.
Great question. It's a great question to ask him, right?
Yeah, Michael, if you're listening to this,
we're feeding you more wonderful, deep questions.
Yes. So, yeah. Anyway, so h6, this queen e7 is a very good idea. I like it. And Prague is also having maybe good ideas as well. This bishop can move to b2, put the rook on c1 maybe. All right,
let's make a few reasonable moves for Prague, not just move the king around. So where is this bishop going, right? Is it going to e3 or is it going to b2? I mean, okay, let's just try. I mean, because I really feel that he can do either, so let's just try bishop e3.
Queen e7.
Yeah, so queen e7. At some points, this queen can move back, and this bishop actually gets caught in a little bit of a problem. But I don't know. Like, if I go here, you can take, but then my knight comes in, your bishop is not able to move. Like, this position feels like it could be better for white, actually. You know, sort of, I get the bishop pair. If you place, you can't even play c6 because I take and play bishop c5. I want to play in general a4.
Yeah, it could be problematic, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we can try to play rook d8 and then c6, and I don't know how bad that position is. Maybe it's solid for black. But still white has the bishop pair. I would still prefer white. So I think Prague has a big choice here, like which way for this bishop to go.
And can we show bishop b2 as well?
Yeah, let's go bishop b2. Well, you know, Magnus can always go back to the idea that we had mentioned earlier, knight d7. Like, what if he goes...
What if he goes now, yeah?
The knight d7, so if I go queen c2... Okay, we're not going to take. We're going to leave that tension. Maybe we should go for this. Protecting the pawn, by the way. I was still kind of thinking about that, but I guess you're always going to have e3. That's another point. When the bishop's on b2, then this is probably not so effective because there's e3.
So maybe I like bishop f5 here, or bishop h3 just to get a tempo. Bishop h3 and then move.
Yeah, so like, okay, let me just play some sort of, well, if I go a4, maybe I'm weakening b3. So maybe I should move my rook, yeah, like somewhere here.
Okay, so I don't have bishop h3 as a tempo anymore, then I can play bishop f5 here.
And so basically your point is if I trade, you take with the rook.
Yep.
And if I go knight b5?
First of all, I can pull the bishop back. Oh no, I cannot. e5 is hanging. Okay. And
you have knight a4 ideas, but then bishop b7. Like, so here's the issue, right? That I can do something like that, and that. So is this a problem, though? Like, is this position problematic for black? It might not be, you know, because the bishops are kind of restricted, especially this one. And the black knight on c5 stands well.
Cannot be disturbed by the pawn. Yeah, probably. But then after that trade, the bishop can just move to d5. But okay, you can always exchange it on e6 if you want to.
Yeah. So knight d7. Okay, so like, do we have other ideas other than knight d7 here? Can we try queen e7 again and see how that works out? So bishop d7 is next. So let's just show this line. Like if you go rook c1, bishop d7, I want to take on b5, and the key line is bishop takes, pawn takes. And then if you sack your queen for the two rooks, again, this position seems to in general just be quite okay for black. I don't know if we should go c6. C6 is still the first move that comes to mind, right? Or we want to go after the bishop.
Yeah, C6 looks okay.
You have to
A4,
try to use your rook to get
B4.
in. Yeah.
What?
Maybe.
Knight E4, yeah?
Knight b1 is bad. Knight d1 is better.
Knight D1, I think.
Yeah. Why? Well, not clear yet, but let's see. So my idea was this, and now I can't go after your bishop because this is hanging, yeah?
Ah, that's a one cute line.
Yeah.
I think knight B1 is worse. It's because, hang on, so knight B1, yeah? I was thinking that maybe you can just play queen E6 with the idea queen H3, knight G4. And there's some idea like, okay, queen E6, if you take on C6, I think, can you just, you want to do that?
Try to use the knight, to guard things, So, okay, it was quite tricky to see the difference between these moves. There's some kind of move E4 here.
Nice.
But I think it's just in general that, like white's pieces are not really that well coordinated here, and somehow the queen and these pieces are ready to cooperate well with each other. That's what's going on. But I think that's definitely an idea for Magnus, this is bishop, queen e7, bishop d7. But we have a move from Prague.
And he did bishop a3.
It's not even something we considered. Is that a good idea? Okay. So
this one is actually forcing after queen e7 you have to take, yeah? Otherwise bishop a3 doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're saying like after this you're going to have to trade, right?
Yeah.
And then I can take with my queen probably. But pawn is also possible. Okay, so bishop a3 is funny because we didn't really see like the strategic necessity of trading that bishop off, so none of our moves were trying to get that bishop off the board. Let's see what Prague's idea is here. There seems to be like a lot of possibilities for black. But basically, you can never really go for bishop h3 just yet, right? Or let's look at that, because we tried that earlier, it didn't work so well. If we try it now, you have to take, I take, and then you were going to take with the king or the rook, right? And you're threatening my rook and you're threatening that.
But now I think you can take on b5, yeah?
So how is that working? Like here, somehow, because I remember when we saw this position, there was a rook on a1 and the bishop was there and we were just winning that pawn. And because of these little differences, maybe we're not just, winning the pawn because
e2 is also hanging.
So tactically, Magnus can sort of make this work, and it just kind of liquidates into a draw, most likely.
Right.
So even the move bishop h3 is possible. And bishop h3 might be like forcing the liquidation of a lot of things. But let's see what else Magnus can try to do here. I mean, okay, let's look at this. Queen e7, bishop takes. Of course, it's a kind of a loss of tempo for us, moving the queen twice. we still have the pressure, we're facing the pressure here. So let's say you go here. And now do we try this move again? And again, we keep having to check this line. But all of them, every time white sacks the queen for the 2 rooks, it seems to be pretty decent for black. Right now we're threatening queen b8.
Yeah, I don't think white will be voluntarily going to this line, trading the queen against 2 rooks like that, because also the position is not certain for white.
It's a pretty crazy position, though, you have to say. Probably this is a better version for white than all the ones that we looked at without the dark squared bishops on the board. If you look at this, it's not easy, I think, for a human to make sense of this position. Because the 8, if you look at this line, right? You leave the 8 pawn on the board. Who knows? Supported by the rook. But I guess the b pawn is pretty strong as well. That would be a big mess for both of them to try to evaluate.
Do you think they'll play some complicated game? Or they will play a very clear game, a very equalition, and just liquidate everything?
Well, I feel like Magnus probably feels like there's room, in this position to try to create something, right? They're definitely they've been on their own for probably a few moves at least. And does he just want it to be like a quiet game and a draw with the black pieces? Probably not a scenario that he is against, but I feel like he's probably going to see if this position gives him some room to outplay white.
Right.
So we are going to take our first break, guys.
Yep.
Definitely both games are really tense so far. I don't think anything has been clarified in either Magnus's game with Prague or Fabi's game with Abasov. In fact, Abasov, I just lost $100,000 on that.
He didn't play E5.
It seems so simple. Okay.
Yeah, but we'll come back to that game after this break. But don't go anywhere, because during the break we will show you the recap video of the Women's World Cup. So stay tuned.
Azerbaycanın təbiətindən, Naxçıvanın torpağından süzülərək gələn təbii suyun sirri, Sirab.
Her damlasında hayat var.
FIDE World Rapid Team Championship 2023 inaugural edition is hosted by Düsseldorf, Germany, August 25th to August 28th, 2023. Brand new format. Star lineup featuring world champions Vishwanathan Anand, Vladimir Kramnik, Hu Yifan, Alexandra Kostyuk, world number 5 Jan Nepomniachtchi, world number 8 Wesley So, world number 10 Richard Rapport and many others. Record prize fund of 250,000 euros. Don't miss it. Watch unique event visiting Rheinstrasse Düsseldorf or live on FIDE YouTube.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final World Cup 2023 in Baku, Azerbaijan. And today we'll be witnessing the first game of the final between Magnus Carlsen versus Praggnanandhaa, and also the contestation of the third spot between Fabiano Caruana versus Nijat Abasov. Irina, so
Yeah.
we have a few more moves in the game between Fabiano and Abasov, because in the game between Praggnanandhaa and Carlsen, I think Carlsen is still thinking after the move of Bishop A3, yeah?
Yeah, I had time to have my lunch while he's been thinking. Okay, so let's get into the game between Abasov and Caruana. So he actually, you know what's funny, is I knew there was a chance I would lose my money because there was this Rook G3 move, right? That I was like, well, he might actually think that's reasonable, you know, and that's the one he went for, right? So this was our big conversation, guys. Would Abasov, just go E5? And E5 was just, very direct.
Yep.
But okay, Rook G3, he's doubling. It's very understandable as well. What is the difference, though? So Rook D8. Okay. Rook G1, Rook G8, and E5.
Yep. And now Fabiano is facing with a few choices here: Knight D5, Knight E8, or Knight H7. I'm not too fancy about Knight H7.
Yeah.
So probably just Knight E8 or Knight D5. But Knight E7 has its own idea as well. Maybe you can just team up with the other knight and just make your king side a little bit more solid, because all the white spaces are coming there. But then after Knight H7, what are you going to do after Knight E4?
Yeah,
right?
I think also, Knight D5 is maybe not going to happen, because then how does it combine with the move Rook D8? Like, we know there's going to be a trade on D5, and then the Rook is just going to be closed. So obviously that's not it's not gonna happen, even though it seems like the most natural move, right? But that really doesn't work very well with this. So he's probably going to be going back somewhere. And let me just figure out one thing. So if he would have immediately played E5, was Knight E8 still the best move? I mean, it might have been. I mean, maybe anyway. The only difference is we get this in faster, and there's no rook here yet threatening stuff like Knight E5. So that's maybe the difference, right? Is that we could have pushed this in a little faster.
Right.
Yeah. And then on this, there were all these lines. We didn't look exactly at this position, but we looked at these ideas. We actually looked at this, provoking that and trying to use the G6 square, and all of this stuff is actually quite decent for white.
Or also you can put in Queen G6 here, yeah?
Yeah, well, but the difference is here that this is already protected. I think we looked at this idea maybe with the knight going to G8 or something, because here if we go Queen G6, at least there's no checkmate threat, right? So you're pinning everything, right? So it's interesting too, and you're actually threatening that. So it's actually not a bad idea at all, right? Yeah, I mean, they might have to go back to G8 just not to get mated.
Yep, but that looks not too pleasant for Black.
So, I just like the direct approach.
Yep.
I think that's maybe my philosophy in life, too. Just go forward like that. Yeah. But instead, he goes Rook G3, and he gives Fabiano at least some time to bring in this rook. And, okay, then this is natural. Now he finally pushes. And so here we see already a big difference, don't we?
Yeah. But now let's figure out where this knight should go, because I don't think you have any other moves but moving the knight.
Yeah, but so the difference is that we can't push F5, right? That's huge. That's also very sad for the moment that we just cannot do this move, because
Knight E5.
yeah, we gave them that tempo to bring in their rook.
But if not pushing the F5, what else can be done here? Can you move your bishop, for example, to D1 and then C2, just using the fact that you are owning this diagonal B1 H7?
That's a nice idea. Are you going to force me to play G6, or well, then I have too many problems with that pawn? Are you going to force me to play F5? I feel like you're going to... Well, F5 is the one that goes for more counterplay, right? So maybe I need to look at that. Bishop d1, definitely very direct, yeah? Okay, so I have to go here. And now if you take, right? Let's see which way I'm going to take. Well, they all have their points. Maybe just knight e.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, just not come back to f6, and you can possibly put it on d5 later on or something. Yeah, maybe we can throw in, just to see one by one.
So which knight do you want to take with?
The e.
The e knight, yeah. The e knight, and on bishop c2. Do we have any threats? We don't, right?
We don't really at the moment.
We don't have a threat, but what are you doing with this knight?
Yeah, probably have to play very passively here. Play knight f8 maybe, and trying to attack the pawns.
Maybe then maybe I can try like knight e4.
If knight
Still
e4
doesn't
can
really
just
do
stay.
anything.
Yeah, I
It
can
doesn't
just
really
stay.
do much. I mean, you can even
h7
take
is
and
protected, and queen
play
f6.
queen f6 and start getting counterplay here, yeah?
Or even queen f6 I like.
Okay, he played his knight to h7, so a little different from what we were expecting. He went to h7. Okay. I mean, seems reasonable. The knight can always go to f8.
Yep.
All right. So again, we cannot play f5. Yeah, that's why I feel like this doubling was, because then they're basically getting in your way of your main idea. Like this idea is so important for white, and the fact that you have to now, do something else, maybe move your queen out of this file, right, just to get that move in. It's a little sad. And plus, again, they have this f5 idea.
Yep. So what if white plays knight e4 here, and after f5 just put the knight on d6? You don't have to trade the pawn or do the en passant or anything.
Yeah, can I show you a funny line that I just saw?
What is it?
Well,
Knight c5?
yeah, I wanted to try to make knight c5 work.
Yeah,
I mean, unfortunately it doesn't work. It's kind of a cool little attempt, but, using that pin. But then you take a knight and you get my queen for free. So white is up a piece in the end. So that one didn't work. Okay. So knight e4 makes sense. You are going to just d6, yeah? And actually, maybe this is why the knight would have been better on e8. Yeah, because here it creates some problems for me. Like, as an example, if you go f5.
Just knight d6, I guess.
Yeah, the knight d6 comes in. And why is the knight here? Could have been on e8, right? Strange. And also, isn't that like a cool idea? Smothered mate.
So is g5 a move here? Just trying to be, just try to solve this g7 problem.
What if you go, you said g5? Probably I still go bishop h5.
Then rook f8, df8.
And somewhere I can throw in maybe some sort of h4.
Hang on, h4?
Yeah, here, and here.
g4.
Then you have g4, and I don't have time for f3.
Yeah,
This
when
hangs,
h4.
yeah. All right, g5. Let me think about that. Because you know what I was going to think about? I wanted to know the evaluation of this rook sacrifice. I wanted to know, if I give up the rook for the knight and pawn, what's that? So that was my kind of question. But your question is also very interesting. So g5. Okay, I kind of like bishop h5. And then you go rook here to stop knight f7. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a clear answer. So let's see.
But also, black doesn't know the next move, you know? Like,
Yeah, there's no threat.
there's no threat yet. Maybe you can just simply play f3 just to prepare off g4.
Just F3, yeah?
Because, yeah, gf is still not an idea because knight f7 is there.
Yeah. Some ideas like that, yeah?
Or even like move the queen to b3 because really there is no idea here.
Yeah, black is kind of tied down, yeah? So especially with this knight that can't move. And if you go here, just attacking the pawn, and I just go b6, I mean, do we just like keep attacking all your pawns? Yeah, like we might just be like attacking you on the queen side because you're not threatening anything, yeah? Because you can't take this pawn, guys, because knight f7 is a problem.
So Fabi is kind of suffering right now. His position is not very good.
Yeah. Well, he went for a pretty passive position, you know, and even if Najat is not playing it necessarily, I mean, in the most incisive way, he still has the initiative.
Right.
And I do like this knight e4 move. So we just tried f5, yeah? Oh, can we try? We didn't finish looking at this line.
And at d6?
Knight d6, and I wanted to try knight b6. And just
Queen
this idea.
b3. I have queen b3, yeah?
Yeah, but in general.
Okay, let's play something else.
Yeah, the problem is like, okay, what else can I play? Because this actually has bishop f7 as a threat, so it's like it still doesn't really allow me to do this just because, you know, bishop f7 is possible. So it wasn't really a wasted move, right? Like, what if I go b3? Can you sack? Like, what's the evaluation here? I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, I can definitely see some potential for black. I don't think it's the worst position I've ever seen. You know, you might have to like do some ideas like that. But yeah, I mean, that exchange sack is always very thematic. Of course, you know, even more thematic could be just offering the knight a simple trade and getting him out of there without sacrificing any material.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely after knight d6, knight b6, white can just play bishop h5. Yeah, that's a very good idea.
So maybe instead of f5, you go here right away. So if I go here, you go knight c8. But now we have this tough. We have that, and we can try to get the knight in. Now, what happens on g6? Is there a queen b3? I think there is.
g6. Oh, just, yeah, queen b3.
Yeah, you agree? Yeah, it's queen b3. And, yeah, that's looking powerful. So then you might have to sack, actually. And we might see that on the board. I mean, here white is better. Black is only a pawn for the exchange, and
Yeah, clearly not enough.
yeah, the knights are not too impressive, right?
There's one line that after knight after knight e4, can we play c5?
Okay, c5. Okay, so my first question would probably be knight d6. I just continue on. Right?
Yeah.
What happens on knight d6? Yeah, it feels problematic. Yeah, and also this is starting to hang.
Yeah, all the white spaces are.
Yeah, because I could actually just go for material. Be up a pawn. Good position. No, I don't like, obviously, black's position. I've been making that clear for a while. Ever since I saw white play the move e4, I have definitely been enthusiastic about white's chances here. And the only thing is, like, rook g3 felt a little bit slow to me, but still, I'm not, maybe the move knight h7, you see, by Fabi, is enough of an inaccuracy that it kind of compensates for the rook g3 inaccuracy by white.
Yeah, I think so too. And this position is definitely looking better for Nijat. Meanwhile, we have a few more moves after, actually one move after bishop a3. Carlsen chose this idea that we didn't talk about. It's rook b8.
Okay.
So let's take a look on that one.
Rook b8. Yes. So after a3, he thought for a long time, right? Sorry, after bishop a3, he thought for a long time. And he played rook b8. Surprising. For sure. He is getting the rook out of the pin. But let's try to understand his point. Because, my first question is what happens on that?
Yeah, so if you just take it back, I guess.
But isn't that just a better structure? Like, how can that be what Carlsen is going for? If he's just going for pawn takes, I would be surprised, but I would definitely be surprised. But is there maybe there is some sort of tricky idea involved here? Like maybe there's a bishop d7 move? Like, just creating tactical problems here? Like that I could sort of see. Like the only thing I can see with this move is like there must be some tactical point. Because I don't know, I just don't see him wanting to play the structure. So there must be something like ba6,
Bishop d7.
Attacking the queen. And then, of course, if the queen moves back, then you take an a6, right? And you're actually trying to target that bishop. So let's show our viewers. So b takes a6.
Yeah.
Yes, bishop d7. And he's just tactically creating problems based on that bishop. Because on queen a5, there's probably b6.
So on that note, maybe instead of taking on a6, white will just take on d6 first.
Good point. But then, okay, at least, it's maybe a more reasonable structure if I take. By the way, do I have some sort of intermediate moves?
You want to take on b5?
Yeah, I don't think I have it, but I was just thinking, I was like, yeah. No, I was thinking if I do have that, but I definitely just lose because you hit my rook. So bishop d6, and now I have to figure out which way to take. So if I take with my queen, you're taking, and I'm still going to have that isolated c pawn, which I've been trying to avoid. So yeah, this must be his idea. Like, I don't love this solution. I don't know. I still feel like white's got a little bit, some initiative on the queen side. But maybe it's not much. But intuitively, I don't love it. Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. C takes d6.
Just put rook b1 maybe, yeah?
Yeah, I guess there's no point
b7.
taking. Yeah, that's right. Rook a b1 makes sense, yeah. I guess you want to go bishop e6. You want to just kind of play against that pawn, maybe play d5. I guess, but then you might lose this guy. So, okay, let's just try rook a b1. And you're probably going to, I don't know, take on b5 or what?
Or bishop b7. Bishop d7.
Bishop d7.
But bishop d7, I can just pull the queen back to a3, attacking d6 or b4.
Or even b3. Yeah, but queen b3, there's bishop e6, right? Maybe. No, I think this move is reasonable.
Queen a3, yeah.
It's funny because I find this position so annoying for black. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, yes, I get it. It's not too bad or anything, but I just feel like, black is the one who has to, like, solve the little problems, right? But okay. So let's say we take right away. I mean, maybe the point is like if the knight goes there, there's something like d5. Maybe it's not a big deal. Like if knight takes d5, bishop e6 next. Yeah, I mean,
So queen takes.
you want to take with the queen,
Uh-huh.
yeah?
Queen takes and probably just play knight d5 next move or something. Rook fc1 also looks good.
And then like that, something like
Yes,
that.
or
Yeah?
queen b4. I like queen b4. No need to exchange the queen.
It's okay, queen b5. Bishop d7 and queen b6. Yeah, you know what's interesting? I think it's like the difference between a human perception and like a computer perception. The computer is like not perturbed here at all for black. But as a human, I mean, you are, right? Because like this seems weak, this seems weak. There's obviously like a more active rook than your rook, right? So it's interesting. I mean, maybe Magnus's evaluation is just a lot deeper. And he can see that there's no issue here, but you know, yeah, it's a little surprising. Yeah, so we sort of neutralized
Everything.
things like that. Yeah. And somehow black is fine. So let's see. Can Prague do anything differently here? Well, I guess he doesn't have to take right away. Yeah, he can bring a rook to c1. Can actually do that move.
Yeah, white has lots of choices here
Yeah.
to develop the rooks to b1, to c1,
Yeah.
to take on d6 first, or and Prague has been spending more than 8 minutes on this move.
Yeah, well, we saw that basically this requires like definitely some deep calculation, but that seemed to be like a more clear way to solve the problems, right? Because when you move the bishop out, you protect the rook and you're kind of ready to take there. So you're kind of forcing them into this line, right? It just goes very forcing, like this, like this. Oh no, I keep forgetting to do that.
Rook f1.
Yeah, you take on how about you take an f1 with the king? Well, let's figure that out because it's a little different. So if I take there, queen takes, bishop takes, rook takes. I mean, does white stay up a pawn in that line? Because let's take with the king. Well, what's going on here? Is there something I'm missing? Like,
We just keep taking.
yeah, but
And maybe take on the
you take here.
the a3, yes.
No, because
Tricky.
I was like, if you take with the rook, I'm just up a pawn, right?
Yeah.
So I thought this was an improvement for white because he gets to keep his rook protecting the pawn. But
Yeah.
actually, you don't take that bishop, you take this bishop, and then you have bishop b2.
Yes, so black will stand better after that. And
Yeah, that's why rook takes f1 is getting played. And then we were seeing this line where like everything gets liquidated. And this one was quite okay for black because these things are hanging. Right, so that was, I guess, Magnus's most clear path to equality after bishop a3.
but he chose rook b8, which is kind of complicated.
Yeah, the rook b8 is a bit of a concession. And what did we look at knight d7 in this position too, or was that? Oh, we looked
No.
at queen e7.
Queen e7. We didn't look at knight d7.
Yeah, not in this position.
Nope, don't think so.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, probably it's not the best, but it's because it's always playable. All right, so he goes for rook b8. Doesn't solve the problem immediately. And when I say the problem, I mean the problem is the pressure on the queen side.
Right.
You know, the problem is that this bishop is quite strong and that white has space there. And that's what the move bishop h3 was trying to do. It was really trying to force the issue on the queen side. So rook b8 is a bit of a concession. It means that he will have some things to solve. So let's say we try rook fc1. We get out of bishop h3. Now, do you go bishop d7? Do you trade on a3, take on b5, go c6? I mean, it's a lot of moves. Like, okay, this one comes to my mind. How bad is this? I just want to take, you take, I take, really forcing, and then just c6. I mean, it actually feels, solid in a way. The question is, how strong is your knight?
I doubt it. It's just like, maybe you can just move the bishop else. Bishop e6, so it's very neutral.
Yeah, and then I can always protect, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also would feel pretty safe, I guess, as black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But queen c5, isn't there knight d7? This is very computer-like. The computer is still trying to say that there's some pressure here on this queen side.
And after queen c7, knight b5? Or, queen c7, rook c6. That is it. That's it.
Ah, nice point.
Yeah.
So it just kind of continues, like the line gets crazy because white has to do some crazy things to justify this play, right? They have to take the pawn, get themselves into some sort of pin, then, hope this works out, right? It's not, it can get very sharp here. What if I take? Are you just going bishop d5 and black is down 2 pawns.
But the problem is with the knight, and now you have to protect it.
Yeah, and it's okay. I don't think we're going to be seeing stuff like this because it just seems so crazy from both sides, for it to be entering this stuff. But it kind of feels like, black is risking more. Yeah, down 2 pawns.
Knight b4. Wow.
Knight b4, trying to win the knight. Look at this line. How is black supposed to enter
A3?
lines like this? Yeah. And then I give it up for 1. Then we're in some rook endgame. Look, here we go. We've analyzed it down to a forced rook endgame. And now we can start,
Takes and then...
going for, this stuff. I don't know. Did I do it the best way? Maybe not. Oh, it's interesting that...
Maybe just go to a8.
Yeah, interesting that this is considered this is very anti-intuitive, right? Because automatically you put the rook behind the pawn. Mm-hmm. But here the computer is actually suggesting rook a8.
Mm-hmm. Because the rook cannot be behind the pawn. That's different. If in this position the rook was on c2, then maybe it's not a very good move. But now the rook has to protect it on the third rank.
But this is still quite instructive that he thinks that the chances to hold this are better. Letting the rook be on the side. And he thinks this is a better defense than this, which for me is news. I don't know, because they both seem kind of possible, right?
Well, for this, I think it's quite thematic. You just have to put the rook on e3 and then bring the king out. That is why I think you have to have the rook on the other side of the board. So rook c3 and then I'll play rook
so
e3.
You want to go rook e3, rook c3.
Rook c3. So if you attack my a3 and e2, I'll put my rook on e3 and then I'll move the king out to f3 and so on.
So you plan to put your rook here and then move out your king towards this.
Yep.
Well, I might throw in f5. Right here. Let's say I throw in this.
Yes, but now f5 is another weakness. So I'll play rook e3 right away, and if you take my a3, I also have 2 pawns. I think now we have and then g4. No, g4. Yeah, g4 actually is a good move, I guess. g4, because if you play f4, I'll take e4, and if you take g4, I'll play king g3 there, and I'll take f5 and king g3, king f4.
Yeah, it's amazing that we're still holding here.
And king f4.
We're still somehow holding on.
And I always have this idea with rook h3, for example.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then my rook and my king will comes to e5.
That's crazy line. where I'm still like not losing.
Wow.
I know, right?
Yeah, but this looks already very scary.
I agree. Okay, well, I think people probably are wondering, how did they get to this Rook Endgame? It's very deep analysis.
Too deep.
Yeah. All right, let's go back. But let's try to explain this position, yeah? So, well, basically, it's quite clear, yeah? White's area of play is the queen side. We're trying to pressure these pawns, and therefore, this is a quite logical move.
Yep.
Right? So we started with this, and then it went on, and he actually did make the trade on d6 first, which we talked about as well. So we're expecting the queen, actually, we're expecting the c-pawn to capture here.
Yeah, c-pawn.
The c-pawn, because if the queen captures, the problem with that is that, well, I mean, at least I thought the problem was something like this, and, basically leaving black with that isolated pawn would be quite unpleasant for the long run. So Magnus changes the pawn structure. At least he's not going to have an isolated pawn in the case of that trade. But still, the queen is a little bit annoying on a4. And, yeah, white's pieces, of course, are like more active here, right? So this is really about black neutralizing things. Actually, here's the other thing I want to say, why I don't love this move, is because it's obvious that he can't play for a win from this position. Like, that he's not thinking about playing for a win from here. He's just trying to equalize. So if that was the goal, then, okay, then bishop h3 did the job in a more direct way, right? So he wasn't like, he was able to create something interesting to keep the game going. Like, I actually think this is pretty simple, obviously for white to play. And black's chances of winning this are, well, they're low, So he's still, I think, in the mode, like, where's the equality? And he might get it, yeah, because, again, the engine doesn't see a problem here, but I feel like there's still, the next few moves are going to be important.
Yeah. So what do you think will be Praggnanandhaa's move here?
Pragg's move, yeah? Okay, so, well, there's only a couple of options that make any sense, right? So there's rook c1, like rook b1. Rook b1 threatens to take. So probably there's like bishop d7, right? If you go here, probably bishop d7. But every time you play bishop d7, this pawn hangs. Nobody kind of looks at that, right? These types of ideas.
Yeah.
And then you can defend things like that.
Wow.
I know, wow, right? Right, wow, because it's just not the most obvious.
Right.
And somehow you hold on. But it's like it feels unpleasant. It feels like we need all the accuracy, to like not let things go wrong as black. So yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't not my cup of tea, this position for black.
Probably here rook fc8, yeah?
Yeah, but look at this line. Okay. Here I just see something the computer is giving as like rook here, and they were allowing this. Like, who would allow that? Right? It just seems crazy, even like looking at rook c5. Okay, maybe this is more normal.
And you cannot play bishop c6 here because of queen d6. Or maybe you can. There's rook d8. Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe bishop c6 then.
Bishop c6, yeah. So first of all, I have queen b3, maybe.
And also bishop c4.
Well, then you can trade and go like rook c5, I think. You kind of equalize. Yes, bishop c6, okay. I have to think about that.
Bishop c4. And then you're attacking both the queen and the pawn.
Yeah, let's just show your point that I cannot take because of rook d8.
But the computer seems fine, so...
I mean, I can still save my bishop.
But it should be drawn here. Rook a8, trading on b7, a2.
Yeah, although, like, there's this spectacular move that makes things a little easier to make a draw, Because you spoil white's pawn structure. You make them take, and then you take the bishop. And then it's going to be an easier draw. But after this, bishop c4, and we're better. I mean, this just kind of illustrates to you, again, like, it's easy to make a mistake as black when you're defending, right? So what to do? Like rook c5, and then you actually have, you have to calculate why this can't be taken, right?
So bishop takes b7, maybe queen a7.
Yeah, I think it's just the pin in this particular position. Or maybe it's actually just the pawn. Yeah.
Maybe just a pawn too. Yeah, because if queen a7, there is queen e4.
It's actually still interesting, right?
Queen e4 is here. And after d5, okay, your pieces are kind of hanging, so...
You can come back to b4. Or, no, sorry, d5 is bishop takes d5.
Bishop takes d5.
Yeah. All right, let's go back a little bit. Yes. So, what are we expecting from Pragg? We're expecting him to figure out which rook to move, yeah? Which rook to move. So, let's say, again, we're looking at this, so we just spent some time on that. I guess you could try maybe just to clarify things right away. So what did he do? He did move a rook.
He did to the other rook, I think, the A rook probably. We'll have to move soon.
Yeah, the rook is on
AB1.
F1. Rook AB1. So, okay, he did play that. Very natural. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe taking is better so that the queen continues to protect d6, right?
Yeah. And the bishop doesn't have to move on c8 yet because it's needed to guard the b7 pawn. So after taking on b5, maybe queen takes b5.
Yeah. I mean, one of the engine moves here is this, but I mean, really, like, I don't see like that being very intuitive to a human player, like just refusing to take the pawn. So I think we should stick with these moves first, and if Pragg plays queen b4, then we can all be shocked. And
but that has a point, because after queen b4, you want to take the b5 pawn with the knight, but why can't you take it now, right? That's the question. Like, if you want to go for this plan, you can just take knight takes b5 right now. The difference is maybe because there is bishop d7.
Yeah. So, well, which way is the most natural? Is it knight? Or does knight takes just kind of give... I mean, does black even want ideas like d5? Like, how important is a move like that? Did we try d5 before? We did. We actually kind of mentioned that that's a possibility. Yeah, Magnus takes on b5. I like that. That I understand. He is, clarifying things. And now... Okay, so if queen takes, at least there's no d5. But then there is this idea. And there was something a little bit strange here. Very important, tempo. That's the thing. Like, after this queen trade, this was very important, the attack on the c3 knight. Because otherwise you can't get your bishop c6 in.
Yeah, and also how to protect d6.
Yeah, you see,
right?
Pragg immediately captures back the pawn, right? Because, I mean, it's just too much for a human brain to contemplate, right? So he takes with the queen, okay. And, I think this is what Magnus will be trying to do, because he knows this bishop needs to be neutralized. So I think this is definitely possible for him to calculate. So either you put the bishop there, or if white tries to stop you, you trade, you get the tempo, quite a natural line, and pretty much they can't take the pawn or this pawn. Nope, he does something else.
What did he do?
He plays bishop e6.
Bishop d6.
Yes.
Bishop d7, yeah?
Oh, no. The bishop is on d7. Okay, yeah. He did play that quickly. Okay. So here we go. This, and this.
And
this is maybe how the equality is going to happen.
Right.
So you know what? He played so accurately. That's the thing. Yeah, his judgment was good.
Yeah.
It was not annoying the way I was thinking. Maybe it would have been annoying for me, but it seems like for him, he was able to, just find all the right moves. Yeah.
Well, he's the number one for
That's
a
right.
reason.
Yeah.
His accuracy is very close to the engine.
And okay, so the knight's under attack. And of course, you don't want to put your rook in a pin. This is just going to lead to trades. I mean, this is leading to trades. So should we try this one? We haven't tried that one yet.
Yeah, we haven't. What to do on that? Can we just take and then rook e2?
I mean, kind of, this looks like the most problematic. But, because this position, I'd be kind of willing to play as white, you know? I'd be like, oh, you have a weak pawn, I have a bishop versus a knight, your knight's kind of not very strong. So I would at least be, I don't know, not too unhappy here. But apparently there's the move d5. And then you just kind of go for activity.
Okay. So pretty much the same idea like I mentioned, but now without trading the bishop with the knight.
Yeah. And I guess this pawn is hard to guard, and we can even play rook 8 to attack it, right? Okay. So, I mean, he could go knight d5, and then that's this quite drawing line that we saw. I mean, here, yeah, that's it. Once you solve the problem of these pawns, then you don't have any issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can predict that Magnus is going to be making a pretty
Easy draw.
comfortable draw.
Comfortable draw.
Yes, against with his knight of 6 move.
All right. And before we go on to the next break, can we quickly see what's happening on the board
Yeah.
of Abasov versus Caruana?
Okay, let's take a look, because that game is going to produce a lot of excitement today.
Yes. So Caruana is currently trying to equalize it, and I think in the current position he's been successful. And
You think so? Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
Queen E3 was played
So
by
what's wrong
Abasov.
then?
So he did not.
play Queen Knight E4.
He didn't play, the most direct moves.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now Queen E3, it's like the same theme as Rook G3, right? Like, okay. So what is the idea of it even? Like, what is the point of this move? I'm just trying to understand, because this is not really a threat now, as far as I can see. So, I mean, basically, he probably wants to go knight e4 anyway, but why did he spend time on this queen move?
And he spent a lot of time on that.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
He likes those queen moves. There was one queen move he made against FIDE with queen d2 that that also was not the most obvious, but there it was actually quite good.
Right.
But this move puzzles me, it really does.
And he spent like 25 minutes on that move.
Wow. And then Fabi played knight b6. So
Very
interesting. You know what's interesting is that Fabi refrained from this idea. And this is a very thematic idea. Because, I mean, you're basically closing up the e4 square. You're trying to take some space.
So if EF, how are we going to take it back?
Oh, EF? Which one of my knights wants the job? I think the D knight. Yeah, I think I'll take this way.
Yep. And if I play, let's say, F5? You just moved. How do you do it? Like
Let me
rook
think.
E8?
Rook maybe even rook D to E8, right?
Rook D,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think this should be it.
Then I'm kind of neutralizing your whole activity here, right? Is there something? I mean, what else could white have done here? There's not like something crazy like D5, is there? So if I take this way, the E pawn?
What does it do?
Yeah,
You think
I don't
the
know. Well, you know what's funny is that the computer is trying to say this is still equal despite the fact that we gave up a pawn. And I think the idea was, because I was thinking the point of this is like to sack a piece and, I don't know, get the knight in, but there just doesn't seem to be anything there, right? But no, the idea is to either get the d6 square for the knight, okay? Right, so just like a positional pawn sacrifice. in that case, you really wonder, why don't we just play knight e4 to get the knight in there? Or in this situation, he kind of just gives it up and goes knight e2, I guess, to try to attack this pawn.
That's very
And then,
deep.
and then the game can just go in this direction, and that's it. And then it's crazy. But no, I mean, I think, first of all, I think f5 is very reasonable, because who would really think of d5 for white? You know? Not the most obvious thing, right? But he played knight b6. And bishop e4 is on the board, which I do understand. Well, he's trying to play f5. And if knight takes, he's probably going to take with a knight.
Well, pull the bishop back.
Pull the bishop back. I think so, although we actually still need to look at that. You know, it's funny, because we've looked at this position a number of times, like this type of position, and we always try taking with a knight. And I have noticed that even though that's pretty good, like, the computer actually likes this bishop capture.
I think it's also because you want to get an outpost on d6, or if ef, then you have this f5. Yeah.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
ed, and you have f5. If cd, then knight b5.
Yes. So in this position, this is actually a much worse capture, because you kind of lose a tempo, and then they can even play g6, and it's kind of hard to break through, right? Although when I say it's hard to break through, I don't know. We can definitely try it.
I think you can just take it now with the g. And then
you're going to play rook takes g3 and rook g8. Yeah. You just trade everything.
And the bishop is cut. Yeah.
Yeah, the bishop is cut, and I don't have like a winning attack because rook g7. Yeah. So the right way to capture that knight would be with the bishop, and that way you either come in or you come in.
You come in either way.
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So what does Fabi need to do here? So he needs to go back to this f5 idea that he's been reluctant to play, and then basically just get a totally normal position, right? That's fine. I mean, what's the problem? The white's pawns are weak.
Yeah, totally. So I think that compensates it, because otherwise black's position is just looking so bad. And at least in this line, black has something to fight for. Yeah, so bishop e4. So we agree that maybe what else can be done here besides f5. So we saw knight d5, but knight d5, bishop takes d5. So now we are seeing f5. Not very obvious actually. But f5, I agree. It looks like.
I think he's going to have to do it. Yeah. I mean, he's had a couple of chances to play this idea, but I mean, I don't know what could be his problem with it. It seems, I mean, especially you don't want to let this move in, right? And then you kind of figure out this is bad. So I feel like he should find this move. Anything else he can do? I mean, like g6 looks very ugly in comparison, right? I mean, you can, I don't know, g6 just seems to weaken that pawn for no particular reason. Maybe you could try it and set up your pawns like that. And it's hard for me to sack here. Maybe. But, I mean, I think I would go for the more
F5,
forcing f5. Yeah.
Yep, so Fabi has spent more than 9 minutes on his upcoming move. It better be f5.
Yeah, it might be like he's calculating this line, because like how does he guard that pawn? And also, like, if I take it, then he might see some problems with g7. Like, maybe that's what is concerning him a little bit.
Yeah, first of all, you can play rook d6, yeah? And then queen d7 coming up. Just trying to attack d4.
Yeah, rook d6 actually looks quite reasonable. Yeah. So at least he has that, right?
I like this f5. Yeah, more and more actually when we're looking at it.
Yeah. Well, you gotta break out of that lack of space, right? This pawn is very powerful. So when you go there and they're basically forced to take you, I mean, they don't have to take you, but then you shut down the bishop. Let's not take. Let's go somewhere.
Yeah, b1, c2.
Yeah. But then what's your play? I mean, I've gotten to make this move, connect my pieces to the king side, and then maybe we can finally go for your g5 idea. One day.
ace knight d5 a move.
Well, you're gonna take. Does
And
that help
CD,
us?
yeah?
CD. Yeah, you can do it. It's not terrible.
I think I like
it is a
yeah,
move.
Yeah, and then switch your rook to to the c file.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's definitely playable for black. Yeah, so you can do that. Well, you can. I don't know if you're interested in winning that pawn because I moved my bishop here. You can also consider taking. I mean, maybe I should have moved my bishop to b1. Maybe move my bishop here, a little more accurate. But then the funny thing is, like, there's even problems with your pawns. Look at that.
Yeah, so white is also having some problems in his position. So it's actually not a very comfortable position for Nijat to keep playing on according just to his wishes. So he also has to anticipate black's idea. And we have a few trades in the game between Praggnanandhaa versus Magnus Carlsen, and looking like what you just predicted.
Yeah.
A very comfortable drawing game.
Yes. So actually, after queen b5, bishop d7, queen b6, did he just play bishop c6 right away? Is that how it went? Let me see. Queen b6. Okay, he didn't even trade the queens. He just
didn't
went for
even trade,
this. So how is this working?
So if queen takes b6,
Or if bishop takes
bishop
here.
takes and queen takes b6, right? And then rook takes b6, bc, rook c.
Oh, really? You think that could be the idea? Oh, wow, maybe. Hold on. So
Or maybe you just take on c6.
bishop takes. What if pawn
Oh, it just
takes?
takes c6,
Because
yeah,
queen
rook c8.
c6, there's rook c8. Yeah, I think that's the simple point. Okay, so yeah, the point is on bishop c6. Yeah, he doesn't even need to throw in the queen trade because the queen is not capable of taking the pawn because you lose the knight. Yeah. So in that case, yeah, there was really actually no need for this line with queen b6, rook c8. This goes bishop c6. Things are starting to get neutralized.
I think he took on d8 first. Yeah.
He captured on d8. And, well, the queens are off the board. There's really no pressure on black's pawns. What can we say here? Well, white has an outside A pawn. But it's not a lot.
It's not a lot, yeah. Yeah, looks like very equal. And
What if white offers all the trades? Should black, I mean, I would think this is fine. I don't really think this outside A pawn and the knight endgame is a big deal, right? So I think probably just come in. Because the center is very strong, right? A4, king e7, a5, king d7, a6, king c7, a7,
just
king
in time.
d7. Yeah, so obviously we could also use our knight, but like my point was just to show you that we could also just use our king, to reach the pawn. So yeah, I don't think that this pawn is that big of a deal. Because in these kinds of endgames, like if I took the knights off the board, probably it's still a draw in this position, but it's like something to think about already, right, with the outside pawn. But I think with the knights, yeah, it should be quite drawish. So this is not, the most, let's say, exciting game, right?
yeah, almost no firework. But both are, I think, doing some positional battle and positional understanding about the approach is a bit different compared to the other game between Nijat Abasov versus Fabiano Caruana. But yeah, I think the game will still be continued. Maybe Magnus is known as a well grinder. So even in the position that's looking like a very dead drone like that, he might still be grinding until he can get something out of it. So let's take a break. But yes, so don't go anywhere because the games are getting actually quite very wiry on the board. So yeah, stay tuned and we will be back after this break.
Azərbaycanın təbiətindən, Naxçıvanın torpağından süzülərək gələn təbii suyun sirri, Sirab.
Her damlasında hayat var.
Weighs 1,749.86 kilograms. निश्चित तौर
Yeah, welcome back everyone into the third hour of the finals in the World Cup 2023. And will it be Magnus Carlsen or Praggnanandhaa who is going to get the title and the trophy of the World Cup this year?
All right. Well, for now, we got to look at the endgame that they have
Yep.
in today's game. So last couple of moves, after the trade of queens, the trade of bishops, Prague actually went for a king to g2, and Magnus played rook a8, which I find to be an interesting choice. I guess like another obvious move that I would think about would have been like king f8 for him and trying to also bring his king to the center. Like in a way, I feel, you know, despite this outside pawn, black has like this very strong center, right? If you kind of trade off enough pieces and maybe like get your king, you know, activated, like maybe, you know, theoretically black could have something to play with here. You know, I'm just trying to think of some scenarios where this doesn't end in a draw, like in a couple of moves, right? All right, so yeah, I did think this king was going to come in. Magnus decides to avoid the rook trade, which is really interesting. I see that's not, I feel like there's something kind of like symbolic in that choice.
Yeah, symbolic indeed. Yeah, so he's not showing that he plays for a draw. He is actually fighting for a win.
Yeah, keeping both pairs of rooks on the board, I feel like is kind of a statement that you don't just want to liquidate everything.
Yeah, and also there is no risk by doing that. Yeah, you have a very solid pair of rooks and then pretty good center, and then I think this is also quite very straightforward. You just want to attack. Okay, rook a3 is about to come, knight d7 as well. So I think black's position is quite okay.
Well, I mean, I feel like actually I can't even, I don't know, to me it feels like this move cannot, its significance cannot be overstated. I mean, because black was not forced to give up the b file at all, right? So it's kind of like, I mean, in a relatively stayed position like this is like the sharpest move you can make, right? I mean, because like, you know, we were seeing things like, you know, I mean, we were looking at things where like everything kind of gets traded, right? And in this type of position, well, okay, then, yeah, I mean, again, it's like the kind of thing where you can think, well, maybe black can try to get something, but I mean, objectively, it just kind of should be a draw, right? So the fact that the rooks are staying on the board by Magnus, I think is a very interesting decision, despite the fact that it doesn't change anything in the engine bar's feeling. You know, the engine bar is very neutral about this decision, but I think for a human player, I mean, you're stepping off the B file, you're letting your opponent kind of own that one open file on the board, and I mean, your idea, I guess, is to maybe like try to, you know, play against the A pawn, right? Put the rook on A3 at some point. I think it's a significant move, and we might still see something here. So rook DC8. But you know, it's also like, it's like a risky move as well, right? By the way, if black ever loses this pawn, then I think it's going to be quite annoying, right? With like this one becoming exposed,
right,
as well. So, what do you think, Irene?
Well, obviously this is still quite equal. Yeah, it's quite drawish, but yeah, I like how Magnus Carlsen takes the initiative to not to take the draw very easily like that, but rather making his opponent to work a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, with all these rooks on the board, in a good case scenario, this pawn could just be a weakness, and a black center could make a difference here. So now, if he goes knight d7, rook b7, actually, there's knight c5. And you're like kicking the rook out, and then you're also free to bring in your king.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that would be the dream scenario for black. Putting the knight on c5, probably doubling the rook on the a file, and then bringing the king to the c7, for example. Yeah.
You know, I just kind of feel like when we, no, I mean, there's another move d5 here. I guess it looks a little bit strange, but I guess you want to go d4, and this knight doesn't really have a good move. You know, and positionally speaking, this move is not attractive, right? Because it creates the backwards pawn. But given that I don't actually have either of those moves, like, it could be something to think about as well. So, actually, some nice choices for Magnus. And I guess seeing this position,
Ooh, and he played it.
went for d5.
D5. Wow.
Yeah, you know,
Amazing
Magnus
stuff.
is trying to create a game out of this end game.
Right.
And maybe showing, you know, Prague, like, okay, I'm not going to give you, like, a completely easy draw, you know? But maybe Prague should have thought a little bit more before playing king g2. Because that wasn't, like, the most incisive move in the world, was it?
Exactly. Or maybe Prague was just kind of like...
Wait, did we have a game that just finished?
Oh, let's take a look.
What
What's
just
happening?
happened? Wait, did he win? Did he just win? Did we miss all of that?
I think Fabi made a quiet miscalculation. Like after bishop
Wow.
e4 and after knight...
He played queen b4. I can't believe we missed all the action on that. All right.
wow.
I can't believe it. I couldn't understand why he was setting up the pieces so early.
Oh, wow. That is very dramatic. It's
Yeah.
I mean, also, it's something that you shouldn't do. You kind of like feeling like everything is on the king side. And by playing queen b4, this is like a very significant...
Wow. So he just thought
Mistake.
he could pile up on this pawn. Look at the fans. I think they're excited, even though today is what? Is it Tuesday?
Today's Tuesday, yeah. No, they're excited to get the.
I mean,
autographs.
beating Fabiano in like 26 moves is crazy. I can't believe it. Okay, so hold on. He attacked the pawn, and he thought, you know, white didn't really have a good way to guard it, but white just took the knight on h7 that never should have been there. Remember that knight?
Yep.
And then he just comes in, and then Fabi realizes, like, oops, there's a fork.
And there's knight g5 as well.
Yeah.
Any sort of fork, by the way.
Yeah, that's painful. So,
yeah.
I mean, basically, wow. I mean, he can't even take the pawn. His knight is far away. Who's protecting this king? Who's protecting against this threat?
White has like made a choice here to just win the game.
Well, let's just show like the basic point. So on this move, which win do we prefer? Which one do we like?
F6, maybe.
I mean, this one is kind of cool
That is also knight g5.
because you're basically going to get that. Yeah, and on this, you get that. And if you take me, I just get a checkmate. So it's like, I mean, white is really for having a choice here. I mean, you can go knight g5. I mean, you can just take, obviously.
Yeah, queen takes.
I
And
mean, you
knight
can
f6.
take here, but this is the boring way to win.
There is one idea though, like instead of taking, yes, and knight f6.
Yeah.
Knight f6, if gf, okay, you can just take the queen, right? So you have to play king h8.
Uh-huh. Okay, trying to follow your thoughts here.
I was thinking to take queen g7, but now I'm thinking again, it doesn't work.
Yeah, you don't really... what were you trying to do? Trying to make your queen jump over, or...
No, queen g3, but then there is king... no, it doesn't work.
Ah, I see. I see what you were trying to do. You were trying to say that I can't take your queen because there's a cool checkmate, and if I take...
No, king will just...
Yeah, well, the king runs, but yeah, okay. But I think knight g5,
Knight g5
is very convincing, because knight g5, you have to go king h8, then I take
knight
with check,
f7, yeah.
and then...
yeah, this is just ugly.
Yeah, then I can... I mean, actually, can I even go back? Maybe I can't go back, though. I wanted to try to take another pawn in the same way. But, you know what? I can just take here. I think that's good. Yeah, that's it. It's game over. All right, so... Oh, poor Fabi. So he went back.
Oh my gosh, I didn't believe that it ended like this.
And this is the end. And the final move is the beautiful f5. Now let's figure out why this is the end. I have a feeling it has something to do with that.
Any moves, actually. You also are serving this knight g5 as well. Like, yeah. But of course the direct attack is rook g7.
Well, the point is, like, if they take you, then it's rook g7, right? Oh, there's also this. There's even a queen sack win.
Damn.
Yeah, look at that.
No, this is too good. This is too good.
This is so beautiful, right? I mean, I actually like this one. Yeah, this one is the best. This one is not as cool. I mean, this is actually not nearly as winning because you still wind up with wind up with a rook and a knight for the queen. So this one would take a while, but knight f6 immediately is very nice. And obviously we should show the queen sack here.
Yep.
So he got destroyed, but I really feel like he kind of did it to himself.
Yeah, this queen b4 is very uncharacteristic to
It's like he lost his sense of danger completely.
Yep.
So it's funny, instead of like f5, which we were saying, he goes completely the other way, abandons the king side. No, I mean, yeah, you have to have an intuitive feeling about this move, right? That's all. I mean, I guess did he miss bishop h7? Did he just never consider that the bad knight would be taken? I mean, but on the other hand, like, what did he expect? Like, how was white supposed to guard this going knight e2?
Yeah, I mean, the queen has to stay on e7.
This is kind of natural, right? Because it's a forcing move. And then coming in with the knight is also natural because we know all those ideas are there. So I don't even know. I can't explain it, actually. Like, I really can't explain what he blundered here.
Well, poor Fabi.
Yeah, I think maybe, I mean, looking at this game, you actually get the feeling like he was really impacted by yesterday's loss.
Result, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Abasov, like, what an easy win with the white pieces.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep.
26 moves, really flashy, right? And those pawns, they got to e5 and f5 in the end.
He got it in the end, yeah. And also this knight e4 idea.
Yeah.
He got it in the end.
He got everything.
He got everything in the end, yeah. Well, tomorrow Fabiano will be playing with white pieces, so let's hope that he will make the comeback that's very much needed to secure the tiebreak, actually. Yeah, but it was a very good game by Abasov, yeah. Very dominant straight out of the opening. And unfortunately Fabiano just blundered, and as you said, losing his sense of danger and eventually lost in such a way. Okay, so this is the final. Praggnanandhaa versus Magnus Carlsen, and I like how this game is going. You see, because it's going to be very instructive how to carry out on this type of endgame. Black is doing everything he's needed to keep the game alive, not to be like a very dry drawing endgame. So we have this position on the board: knight d7.
So after rook c1, d5. And rook c2 by Prague, defending the pawn, so his knight will be free to move. And I guess if black would have played d4, where do you think this knight would have gone? I mean, I just want to say intuitively, I have no idea.
d1 maybe? Oh no, b1.
It would have been a good question too, right?
Yeah, maybe b1 and then d2 and something. So after knight b1, knight d5 maybe, and rook b7, at least the rook can stay there.
Also, this pawn might...
Oh yeah, that pawn is...
I mean, this is kind of a good question, d4. Because I didn't like this move for this reason. Now, maybe white still has a draw here, but I was kind of afraid of that pawn just coming up. I mean, I guess you can attack it, and if I move it, you take that one, and everything is still fine. I mean, it's kind of a cool line, right? It's like, who knows?
Rook d5 maybe, yeah?
Yeah, rook d5, and I guess I don't have time for this because you take, and when my rook comes down...
first you can have rook d2. Funny, isn't it? Rook d2. Let's show it.
Let's show it. Yeah, that's nice. So I'm thinking here because I'm like desperately trying to promote my pawn. But Irene has come up with the beautiful, rook d2.
Although, I was thinking, why don't we just take on b2 and rook b4? I think that's simple.
Wait.
Okay, but what is wrong with
first
this?
of all, okay, you know what it is? They move out of the pin, and actually you can't take, and you can't take, and actually got to move the rook and then lose that one. That's pretty funny.
Right.
Yeah, so in fact, what you got to do is just take the rook, and then actually you
rook
get behind
before.
it, and then white is fine. Well, there are some sharp lines involved with pawn move d4, but I mean, it's true that other than this, like pretty much all of these moves are possible. Knight b1, I mean, well, knight b1, there's knight d5 to look at, but I guess, I mean, obviously black is fine in all these lines, but maybe Magnus just wants something more complicated than this position.
And probably rook c5, yeah?
Yeah. Probably that. Is that a draw? Or are you actually better here if you take this pawn and then come back?
Yeah. So probably just where to put the knight then?
Yeah, well, there's an amazing move here if you want to sack your knight for 2 pawns. And actually, you might get a third pawn. You might get a third pawn.
Wow.
It's an interesting line, but okay, obviously Magnus doesn't need to look for lines where he needs to find equality. So he decides not to go d4. He plays knight d7. And rook b1 is on the board. So, yeah, I actually think we're getting the scenario I was telling you about, like, but with black having pushed, and now black is getting to bring in the king. King will stand fantastically on d6. And once the c pawn is secured, I start playing against the a pawn, and this could actually be a long game.
Yeah, we kind of like predicted during the break that this game will end very soon, and the other game between Nijat versus Fabi, it's going to take a while. But
Yeah,
I
it's
think
the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite. So
Okay. So unless, knight c5. So I think at this point in the game, by the way, is there like a tactic? Is there a tactic like that? What am I missing?
I think you can
Irene.
just move the rook back to d8, and after rook c5, rook 8.
No, but I'm saying this white just equalized. Oh, there's rook a5.
Rook f5. sorry.
That's it. Because I was like, hey, maybe Magnus was allowing some draw with this, but yeah, no, we can actually save the knight. Yeah, and there's no way to win it. Because on that move, there's d4, and then I get to keep the pony. Okay, but obviously that's a tactic you have to look at, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is the way I feel about this position, at this point in the game, Prague has realized, like, he's certainly not pushing for anything, and he needs to find his way to a draw. That's the mentality, right? Because it changes, right? Like, probably when he entered the endgame, he was thinking, everything is fine.
Yep.
It'll be an easy draw. And then a few moves later, he's like, oh, Magnus is trying to win. He's trying to keep this game going. And now he's probably thinking, okay, how do I make my draw? I think that, at least that would be, that would be the way I would think about it. So I don't know about this move, to be honest, this knight c5 move. Like, I don't know how well the knight is going to stand there. Maybe he's trying to go to e6 or something.
Yeah, that's possible too.
I don't know why he didn't go, like, king here. Was he just, he's not getting in time to d6. He can't go here because of knight d5.
So you have to guard d5 by playing something, yeah?
Yeah, like I actually, but then maybe he just doesn't guard this pawn in time.
Yeah,
Maybe knight b8. I mean, I actually think it's interesting. I think if you can get your king, you can
Knight
move
d2?
back your knight.
Knight d2, knight b3, knight c5.
I don't mind your knight there that much, though. Rook a3. Rook a7 even. Like, this position I would play as black.
I mean, yeah, maybe no need to play knight c5 right away, but just keep it there. Probably d4.
End of the day, it is a
And you'll be forever tied to that pawn.
Maybe f6.
Wow, and e4.
Right here, or where?
No,
Oh,
D4, F6, E4.
It's like you're starting the opening. You know?
Yeah. But that's funny.
If I take, you want to push or something.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you have suggested a crazy move here. Well, D4 is not so crazy, but E4, yeah, that's quite something, yeah? Okay. No, I mean, I'm not surprised that we can find some lines that can equalize for white, right? Like, I know it's not, like black has a lot yet.
But yeah, Prague did, I think, a very good move there.
Rook C1.
Rook
So
C1.
he was basically setting up this tactic. So Magnus went here, and now you don't have that anymore.
You have knight b5 though.
You have knight b5, you said, yeah?
Yeah, knight b5 I think equalizes
I
everything.
think so. Hold on, wait, we got to calculate that.
Knight b5, what do you do? CB, rook c5, rook c5, rook c5.
You know, Magnus is looking at the score sheet. Interesting.
Like
What
how
is
many
he-
moves have we made? Yeah, before the
maybe
offer
he's
draw.
well, I don't know. Yeah, it's either that. Can I offer a draw, or how many moves do we need to get to the time control?
Oh,
I
right.
think that's actually
Yeah.
more likely.
Right.
They still need to make 15 more moves, so Prague is in a little bit of time trouble.
Yep. Okay, so is knight b5 a move here, Irina?
Okay, let's think. So knight b5. Well, first of all, I can move my knight.
You can move your knight, that's true.
I can, but then you have knight d6, and then you can try to take my pawn. So that's one issue. So knight b5. I mean, obviously, if I take with the rook, you get everything you want. Even there, I have king f8.
Yeah,
even there,
actually,
you don't necessarily get everything you want. So one issue is this. That I kind of give you what you wanted, but then I go king f8 and I try to again get my king to d6.
Yeah. Probably in this position there's e4. And it's just
E4.
in time. Yeah.
But I have king e7.
Yeah, king e7, I'll take on d5.
You're taking on
rook
c6.
c6,
Yeah,
yeah.
rook c6. I
So
forgot
maybe
about
if there was no e4, then black could just comfortably put the king on d6
Yeah.
and rook to a8 perhaps, and it's okay. But e4, yeah, I think it seals the deal.
You are really fighting for that draw, huh?
I mean, what else can white do in this position?
No, I like e4, actually. I think you should force the issue
Yeah.
when you got this position, yeah.
So you have to
I
take,
agree.
and then play f6, and now
Yeah.
I think it's already quite clear, yeah?
Yeah, White's got the outside pawn. I mean, they shouldn't be losing this position. All right. So knight b5 by Prague is a move. It's probably one of the many things that he can do. Actually, wait, so if he just moves his knight, is there just a trade over here? Can he go to one of these squares and simply, he just moved his knight backwards somewhere. It might be to b1.
Looks like it. Looks like b1, yes.
Yeah.
And Magnus played knight
Yeah, we're
e6.
actually seeing the trade.
So we might be actually finishing this very soon after all these trades.
Yeah. Well, Magnus tried a little bit. I think that's the right move from him. Yeah, he seems to know where this is going.
Yeah. So after you take on c6, rook c6, rook c6, rook c6, rook a2. But there is knight, but knight c3, but rook c2, yeah? So this knight is tight.
Knight c3, rook c2, and now...
Got to be careful with d4.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow.
And in this
don't
line,
stop, yeah.
White's up a pawn.
So you have to take on e2.
You take on e2, and it's like a draw.
It's very drawish, yeah.
Yeah, although, Prague has the slightly weaker pawn.
And after rook takes e2, it's exactly 30th moves.
Yeah.
Shall you put your money onto this line?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for offering me to put my money there. That's been going so well. But yeah, let's see. So we have knight b1 on the board and knight e6 on the board. So Prague is thinking...
He has to take, otherwise c5 is coming. and it's not so clear anymore.
Yeah, well, also knight d4 is the big one.
Yeah,
no?
knight d4 is coming. You don't want to play e3 in this position.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Well,
he has
yeah,
to take.
right. Like you can play that, but I think really he
C5,
he
yeah.
really should simplify. So let's just look at this line again. Takes, attack. So there's different ways to guard it, but you don't want to do that.
Knight c3
C3
is
is very
simplest,
logical.
yes.
Rook c2 by Magnus. You gotta. This happens and this happens. Now I don't think that Magnus will offer a draw here. Just because, if
You
there's
have
a
a better knight,
theoretical, yeah, if you can win this pawn, then actually you can still play. Oh, Prague decides not to take on c6. He goes knight d2.
Wow.
Let's see if that matters. It might not matter. So c5, there's knight b3. Maybe then rook b5. There's... Wait, so what did he calculate here? Knight d4, knight b3 he wants? Well, Magnus just instantly played rook a8, so he's just inviting him to take the pawn. Huh. Interesting. So Magnus doesn't even
Let's see,
look at knight d4.
Knight b4.
Right, because there is this trick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's quite a good trick, yeah, by Prague. Trading everything. And on c5, there's this, and then I guess black can't really move anything, yeah? Black's not really
Oh,
threatening.
no. If c5, you play e4 again, maybe. Because you are just getting the space on c4. Yeah, and then rook b2.
And so you're not worried about this because rook b2 and you might get the c4 square, yeah? Okay. Makes sense. So Magnus, but yeah, he instantly reacted, yeah? Rook a8. Does he think he's better after rook takes here and then knight d4? I think he does think he's better.
But if knight there,
Or
rook
there's
c8.
check.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you should take on a2.
Right, so if
rook
I take,
c6, rook a2.
yeah, let's just show why you can't do that because that's a check. And then we have time to play e3 or knight b3.
Or knight b3.
Yeah, so you're going to take on a2.
Okay. And now what's next? Knight f3 or knight b3? Knight f3, rook e2. Or you can put back... Oh, I was thinking rook c2, but then there is knight d4. Or maybe it's knight f3. Knight f3, rook e2, and then king f1. So you can throw in rook c8 first.
So knight f3.
Yeah, knight f3 is the idea, but you can throw in rook c... Because otherwise with two rooks it's going to be dangerous. So rook c8 first.
Trade and then go knight
Takes,
f3.
and then now knight f3. And rook e2, king f1.
Yeah, and then it's another trade. I win that
Yeah.
pawn, yeah?
Yeah. So I think this should be the continuation. Yeah, you have to play rook c8, otherwise it would be dangerous on the second ring.
And then you have to play this move to save the pawn. Rather ugly,
Or
but
knight e5.
it kind of does the job, yeah? Knight e5, f6.
And then rook somewhere. Rook e8. Rook e8. Yeah, looks like a bit... Yeah, knight g1 should be fine. So he did knight f3. So he's not taking on c6.
Okay, well, things are getting liquid. I feel like Magnus, by judging by how quickly he's playing, I guess he feels like this is heading towards a draw.
Yeah, I think so too. And we could tell that players are getting tired anyway.
Yeah.
We could see from Fabiano's game how he blundered such a position.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's just...
Yeah, Fabi's game was definitely uncharacteristic for him.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't really see that many Fabi games like that.
No.
No.
No, not at all.
I mean, he's a lot more tenacious than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the fatigue, I guess, and the stamina. Everyone is very exhausted in this tournament. They're here already for almost 4 weeks. And, yeah, I was actually expecting some mistake like that too. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the event, not at the end of the day. At the end of the event,
Yeah.
we already saw like so many mistakes also from the yesterday's tiebreak as well.
Yeah, and I guess, Abasov, he did get that day off, and that kind of made a difference.
Yeah.
And Fabi was, had to play right after his match against Prague, so, but I mean, that means that Fabi needs to come back with the right pieces.
Yep. And
Because otherwise, can you imagine, like, Fabi's spot in the candidates kind of depends on Magnus. Still on Magnus's decision,
still on Magnus.
Yeah.
But okay, this is still the first qualifications to the candidate. They will also have Grand Swiss, for example, here, another avenue for the candidate spots. And Prague is reaching it. I think he has to take
the pawn, right? So let's see. He's going to take. Then his knight has to move. So where is it going to go? It can go back. If you take here, I just take any four. That should be a draw. If you defend the pawn on c6, I got to play rook here. Then you can take
on e4.
Can I go here?
Oh, you want to trap the knight?
Yeah, I want to save my rook.
Yeah, I can play rook a2, and then rook e2, rook d8. You cannot save the knight, right?
That's clever. So you're just going to take, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And
you have to take the knight, otherwise e3 is there.
yeah. I mean, I can take... Well, actually,
you can take e4.
Why has white lost all their pawns? I guess it's okay, but rook d8. Yeah, and how do I equalize this? I'm still going to be... I'm still going to be down a pawn, right?
Uh-huh. And then rook takes, 3 against 4.
Okay, but then this will just go on.
Yeah, rook c8 and then rook e8.
Yeah.
And then king goes to f1 maybe or something. Yeah, it should be drawn.
Right, but like, there's no way this is going to happen because like Prague isn't going to give Magnus some position with like the extra pawn and to play this for another hour or two. No, so hold on. So let's play carefully here. So e4 is on the board. So we're expecting, okay, pawn takes, reasonable. Pawn takes knight d2. Knight d4. Okay, he captured. Knight d4, rook c4. Knight takes e4. Now, knight takes e2. Now we can think, because we have choices here. It's almost on the board.
Yeah, several option is if you just play rook 1 c2.
But then rook a2.
And then you take on knight takes
on
e4.
And then that does look safer, but hold on. Okay, Magnus actually didn't even go for this. He went for e3.
But e3, knight c4, rook a2, yeah?
Yeah, knight c4, rook a2. I don't know why he's going for this one.
Yeah.
It's a little bit strange that he's playing so fast.
Okay, there should be like many lines to make a draw, but okay, knight c4 looks very tempting to play.
Okay, knight c4 is definitely the right move because we don't need those double pawns. And I kind of wonder why Magnus is even interested in this position.
Maybe knight d4 now.
Yeah, maybe because he wins that pawn. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't really see why he would want this.
Yeah, totally. And you have to takes, and
then black does win that pawn immediately.
Yeah. So rook c4 maybe, yeah? How to continue this?
I still don't really get like why he went for this position. But I guess I can't really get. Yeah, I guess you can always get the knight out. Okay.
Also rook d2, knight d4. Yeah. So things are getting traded off very fast.
Wait, are we going to have our earliest day ever?
Earliest day ever.
Oh, wow. Oh, I know what it is. It must be that Carlsen wants to play Title Tuesday today.
Oh. What an incentive.
Yeah. No, I mean, should we make some bets on whether he's going to be playing Title Tuesday?
Oh, he will.
You think he will?
He will. The question is, which Title Tuesday? One of them or both? Because the late Title Tuesday starts at 2 a.m. local time.
Oh, 2 a.m. local time. Yeah, that's rather late. Yeah. And the early one starts?
Good question. The early one
it's 1 p.m. New York, so it's probably like around 9.
Could be, yeah.
Probably 9 p.m. local.
9 or 10 or something like that, yeah.
Okay. Well, those are very important events. I like to watch Title Tuesdays as well.
Yeah. So, well, we will see. We will see Magnus again tonight, actually, very soon, maybe on Tuesday. Whether he'll be playing the early one or the late one or both, we never know, because at one of the matches, one of the Tuesdays here in the World Cup, he played both.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Even the one at late one.
Was that after his match with Ivanchuk, or
no? I think it was the earlier one. I think it was before his match against Pansulaya.
Ah, okay, at the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So we see this position on the board, and I think just take on A2 and then Rook C4, and that will seal the deal. And they're already on their 32 moves, so if anyone wants to offer a draw here, they're eligible to do it.
We can go to the old city tonight.
And Rook A2 is on the board, so we are seeing the final seconds or final minutes of the first game.
Yeah, Rook C4 actually, and then Knight takes E2,
Rook C6 and draw. Great.
And draw. I mean, they've made 30 moves, so it's kind of coming. Magnus plays C5.
Okay.
He's funny, right? That's the thing. He has a sense of humor that he brings into his games.
And now Rook takes E2, and the Knight will go to E6 just to go.
You think? Yeah. No, the Knight can't go to E6 because there's Rook C2.
No, Rook takes E2.
Rook takes E2. Yeah. Okay.
And that's it. So the first game between Praggnanandhaa versus Magnus Carlsen ended with a draw, like I expected, but a totally unexpected result happened on the other board between Abasov versus Caruana, where Caruana just blundered very uncharacteristic of him. It's I also couldn't explain it how he made that decision of Queen B4. It's almost the same like F4, but okay. F4 was more understandable in the tiebreak, but Queen B4 was totally a blunder. So, we saw on the camera both Praggnanandhaa and Carlsen. They're analyzing the games.
That's right. Well, the thing is, Magnus knows so much about chess that it's quite hard to catch him out in the opening, right? So, I mean, I find one of the interesting things is, for example, that he went with this Knight of 6 move today, early on, and this reversed dragon, which is a move that is like, I mean, he's played it before, but it's so much less common than the other options, right? And I guess when you play Magnus, it's just like you have to know everything in chess.
Obviously. So I cannot wait to see what Magnus will come up with tomorrow with white pieces. Will he try to surprise Praggnanandhaa out of the opening, or maybe he will play some safer option in the openings and then looking forward to playing in the tiebreak?
Here's an interesting question, because Magnus obviously has a preference for rapid and blitz chess these days, right? But at the same time, he knows that that's also Pragg's forte, right? Because Pragg is just, he watched him play at the global league, that he was the star player of our team. So, I mean, is it a smart idea to just, let's say, take the game into the tiebreak without at least doing the maximum with the white pieces? I don't know. I think I would say that he needs to try to push in the classical game, and if it doesn't work out, okay, then he'll play the tie breaks. But I think there will be like a fight tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so too. And dear viewers, this is almost one of your last chances to send us the question. So don't forget to check out FIDE social medias on Facebook and Twitter, because, it's nearing the end of the event. So send us your questions to your favorite players. And the best question will be picked by our colleague Michael Rahal to be asked to the players. And also, after this, we will have the interview of Nijat Abasov after he defeating Fabiano Caruana. So, we will see you again tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. local time. But stay tuned for the interview too. So, bye. Thanks for watching.
I'm joined by Nijat Abasov. He's just defeated Fabiano Caruana in the fourth bronze medal match in the first game. Nijat, a very powerful performance. You played the opening super fast as usual, 18 moves. Fabiano was thinking, you were walking around, you had everything under control, and then you lashed out this fantastic attack and game over. Tell us about the game.
I guess since my last 3 games were London, and previously I went for Queen's Gambit declined, positions. He didn't expect Catalan from me, but I was watching his games closely against Prague, and there were already some Catalans in this line, so I decided to test my luck here. I had some ideas, and it turned out to be that Fabio was not ready against it, I guess, and he let very easy play to me. Like I had control over G-file, I had center and everything. I guess I wasn't expecting him to play Queen B4, honestly. I was like after Bishop B4, I thought this H7 knight is very powerful in the defense. He had to go G6 most likely. I couldn't see a clean way how I would proceed the attack, but it felt like there should be something. But he spent a lot of time, and with Queen B4, Bishop takes H7, knight E4, it turns out that I have all these knight G5 motifs, all the way F5, knight F6, Queen takes H6, and it was already unstoppable.
It was a bit surprising that he resigned, but as you say, knight F6 and knight G5 would have come very fast. What do you think happened to Fabiano to make this Queen B4 blunder when the computer suggested just F5 would more or less hold the position? What do you think he missed?
It's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. Two moves, basically. Bishop takes H7, knight E4. I don't know, but I was amazed that he went for Queen B4.
Of course, it's a two-game match. We still have tomorrow game where he will play with the white pieces. But as you know, there are 3 spots for the candidates. Although everyone says that everyone is virtually qualified, hitting that 3rd spot must be very important for you, as I understand.
Undoubtedly, there might be lots of circumstances Magnus changed his mind and plays at the candidates. In fact, I don't objectively think he would, but still it's better to guarantee the spot.
Nijat Abasov, a very powerful performance today with the white pieces, leads the match by 1-0, and tomorrow the second game with Fabiano playing with the white pieces. Nijat, congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.